Black Oni.
You're now listening to the Black Oni podcast.
Welcome to today's show, everyone. I hope you all are doing amazing. Let us know in the comments how we are doing volume-wise, if things are too loud, if they're not loud enough, etc., etc. Actually, shout out to Stream Elements for their rendition of OBS. I'm using that right now. It's a little bit different than Streamlabs OBS, so little bit of fine-tuning there. But with that said, I want to take a moment to quickly introduce all three of our lovely guests for today's show. I think many of you all know Pro_Quesadilla, who is directly to my right over here. Take a moment to tell people at home what it is that you do, Queso, and where people can go to find more of you.
What's up, everybody? Your boy Pro Quesadilla. You know, I play a lot of action RPGs, JRPGs, and shooters and fighters and more on Twitch. So if you're into that kind of stuff and heavy game knowledge, design work, and even commentary, definitely want to come by and check it out. You can follow me everywhere on Twitter, Twitch, and even Instagram. Same name, same Quesadilla.
Nice. And then next up, we have a fan favorite from back in the day, actually, Asaurus.
What's going on?
He was involved in one of my very first podcasts, so I'm really excited to have him back on the show. Really strong writer and really fun person to hang out with. So tell people a little bit about who you are and where people can go to find more.
Well, kind of all-around nerd. I teach college classes, so I don't do all that much during the semester. You could find me on Instagram or Twitch or Twitter. It's KKSORs on all of them. I haven't done much with Twitch in a while, but now that summer's coming, I'll probably do more again. My Instagram is mostly just my cat. So if you want to see my cat, go to the Instagram.
This cat is very cute.
He is very cute. He's like absurdly cute.
Yes. And last but not least, we have Patrick of League of Maidens.
Yeah, we have no cats. No cats on our Instagram.
Not yet.
So, if you want to. So, my name is Patrick, and I am the CEO of Maiden Gaming. We're a software development company that's creating a game called League of Maidens.
Mm-hmm.
And you can check us out pretty much everywhere. Just search for Maiden Gaming or League of Maidens. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Discord, Facebook. We have our own website, www.maidengaming.net. Yeah, we're pretty much everywhere. So just Google League of Maidens and you should find us.
Perfect. And everyone who's watching live or listening later on Spotify or iTunes or whatever streaming or listening service that you are listening to, you can definitely check out these live streams at twitch.tv/BlackOni or check them out on YouTube once they're up in video format if you don't want to just only listen. And I say that specifically because there's going to be some gameplay of League of Maidens going on in the background that you're probably not going to want to miss if you are a fan of the Lewd. So I mentioned earlier before we started that I'm pretty excited about this episode because we'll get into the specifics of why, but there's a big problem that I have a lot with a lot of other games that are like lewd or adult oriented, is that they spend all of their energy and time on like making it adult but not necessarily making it fun or good. And so I haven't had a chance to play the game yet, but from what I'm seeing, it seems like it's more of a focus on like, hey, we are a game, but we also enjoy lewd, so we're gonna put them together.
Yeah, that's I appreciate the you noticing that, because it's something that we work very hard on. We work extremely hard on both aspects, so It's nice to be noticed.
Senpai noticed, don't worry. But in that, actually, the icebreaker, hold on, I gotta do the proper, icebreaker.
Ooh, I like the echo effect.
Yeah,
I would have called you out if you didn't do it.
I gotta get one of those boards for my stream. I'm pretty sure there's somewhere I can buy something where I can push a button and have it make an audio sound. I see all these Twitch streamers have it, so I gotta figure that out.
I can give you the details after stream of what I use.
Oh yeah.
I'm happy to share that info. I can tell you now, actually, it's the Go XLR. They debuted it like 2 years ago at TwitchCon. And like as soon as I caught wind of it, actually shout out to my very good friend DJ Knight. He's the one who put me onto it, and he was like, "Hey, Oni, I want you to meet the influencer relations manager for this and like learn more about this because it's like saving him right now." So it's a really dope audio setup.
All right, I have to check it out.
Yeah. But our new icebreaker is actually, what is your favorite lewd based game? I know that wasn't. I forgot that the question on there was actually from last week, so I had to come up with it on the fly. What's your favorite game?
What is my favorite lewd-based game?
Now it doesn't have to center only on nudity, but like it has to be a part of the theme. So like I'll say, for example, The Witcher 3 for me would be my choice because it understands that it is a game first. It's a narrative based game, so I really love that part about it too, but it's not afraid to throw some titties at your face. Like I do wish it had like more for those who want to see Geralt more naked too. Like that would have been nice for like a overall everybody gets some, but I think they did a pretty good job of at least doing some fan service there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good question. To tell you the truth, and that's partly one of the reasons why League of Maidens exists, is that I don't really, it probably take me another 3 hours to come up with a name for you, and that in and of itself speaks volumes as to why we're doing what we're doing. Yeah. I will say, I mean, as far as adult content, you could say in gaming, most experiences that I've had with games that I play have just been hints here and there, and that's not, I mean, that's not bad, you know what I mean, that they're not, they don't have this type of content all over the game, but most of those companies are going to be AAA companies, so there's a limit as to how much of that they can do. But as far as like, I can't really give you a game, but as far as like a specific game that has a bunch of lewd content in it, but as far as like specific instances in a game, one of the things that I always think about that really stands out for me is a game called Secret World Legends. I don't know if you guys know anything about this game. It's an MMO, and it's kind of like a horror themed MMO.
Okay.
And I play it. It's a really good game, and it has really awesome writing and it has really awesome storylines. The mechanics are not that great, but the dialogue and the writing is amazing.
Okay.
And earlier on in the gameplay, where you pick a specific faction, I think it's the Dragons. There's a scene where you guys, so this is kind of small spoiler alert, so if you guys are haven't played Secret World Legends, I won't spoil too much of it, but there's a specific scene where you go into a room, you have to meet this contact, and you go into a room, and there's a female contact that you meet. It's a hotel room, and it's like a kind of like a Yakuza setup. Okay. And there's information that she's supposed to give you. And the scene has a lot of, what's amazing about the writing in that scene is that it reeks of sexual tension, but there's no nudity in it at all. Okay. Right. But the scene itself could not be sexier. I mean, I could go into more details, but I hate to ruin it for anybody. But anybody that's experienced that scene knows exactly what I'm talking about. The problem with that scene in the game, though, when it comes to that type of content, is that was like the thing they put at the beginning of the game, that if you just like kept playing the game, you got no more of it, right? So they need to put that's what like hooked me when I was playing the game, and I was like, oh, word, oh, okay, yeah.
They just hit you with the taste, and then you're like, that's it.
I got like the double thumbs up. I'm like, I'm down for this ride. Then you throw around another 100 hours in it, and you get like no more of that, like zero, right?
Oh man.
So we put that at the beginning to like hook you, and then you're like just spending all these hours trying to find more of it, but you don't get it. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that I really liked how they were able to kind of interject kind of like that sexual tension into a video game cutscene, basically, and it worked really well, and it didn't seem gratuitous at all. It made perfect sense for the setting. So, I'm talking, about this thing and not really saying what it is. So
I'm looking at a video here on stream. I'm hoping that it is the same game. It's got like Yakuza in it and like powers and magic and
that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the faction is called, that specific faction is called the Dragon.
Okay.
And you are it's kind of like a superhero horror game, which is like two of my favorite genres, which is what attracted me to the game. So it's got like horror, and like when it comes to movies, my number one favorite movie is definitely horror movies. And then number two right behind that would be superhero movies.
Yeah.
So in that, in that game, you have like these superpowers, but you don't know why you have them. And then there's this whole world built around it, and there's a secrecy and Illuminati and all this stuff. So it's a really good game, especially if you like games that are heavy on dialogue and writing. If you're just looking at kill like hundreds of mobs in seconds, it's and like looking for action combat and all that kind of stuff, it's definitely not the greatest there. It's no Black Desert. But when it comes to the writing and the dialogue, it is like by far the some of the quests in that game are like the best in any MMO that I've played.
So better than Black Desert when it comes to story.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Listen, Black Desert, oh god, it's that's not saying much.
Yeah. I really like Black Desert because
the weakest point in my view is the actual quests, the writing and all that. It's like really Black Desert is like really. It's really tough because that game just looks so good. It's beautiful, so good,
and it plays really well in terms of the combat and the fluidity.
The controls.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the combat controls anyway, not so much the movement controls, but the combat controls are just like on point. But then like when it comes to like the writing and the questing, it's just like nobody's home.
Yeah.
Nobody's home. So
So. Kevin, what would you say?
But then again, if you want to be real, most MMO, like the majority of people that play MMOs are not there for the story or the writing. You know what I mean? Most people would go in and just like hit the space or the M1 button on your mouse as quickly as humanly possible just to race through the dialogue.
Right. That's true.
So
for a lot of games,
I guess for them, they're focusing on the right thing.
Yeah. In terms of that, though, Kev, what would you say is your favorite amongst them?
I don't know. I was going to say Catherine, but I haven't played that since it first came out, so I honestly don't even remember it all that much. So I might just go with the easy answer, since I've been playing tons of Persona, and just say Persona, like the whole series, because even though there's only like actual hints of anything really sexual, there's a whole lot of penis demons and busty angels. So.
True.
You leave the god Mara out of this.
I haven't even played Persona, but my limited experience of watching others play it, you and Kesa and a few others, I was like, okay, they got some themes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I mean, I like that it's all like world mythology, but they do pretty much like sexualize everything they possibly can.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Which reminds me, Kesa, what's your answer?
I would say for me, when it comes to anything that was super lewd or anything, but like I played adult games and whatnot, it's just the gameplays are usually terrible. Some of the story is really good, but I would say like any game that anybody's really gonna know, for me, it has to be Mass Effect 2. because
That was going to be my other answer was Mass Effect and Dragon Age. But
yeah. Like Dragon Age, they also had like decent options when it comes to like romance and whatnot. But I would say Mass Effect 2 does it the best because you're working on your, you know, backstory with this character, and then when you get to those loot options, you're just like, it was worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think like one of the great, craziest romances was Jack from Mass Effect 2, because like the things that you have to do to get her loyalty up was the craziest and most outlandish things that you had to do, because she was renegade. And then like what made it great again was in Mass Effect 3 when you got to see Jack again. Let's just say her DLC part where you would, okay, so people haven't played, I played this in Mass Effect 3, this is a slight spoiler, but with Jack, when you meet Jack, when you're fighting these bosses and whatnot, you hit this renegade option where you and Jack do this crazy super move and kiss at the end. While something explodes in the background.
I feel like I saw that before.
Yeah. I'm like, I like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going Mass Effect 2.
All good options, I'd say. All good options. And this leads pretty well into our actual interview of learning more about Patrick and about League of Maidens. And by the way, for the rest of you guys here, you can feel free to jump in and ask any of these questions as well. So we talked a little bit earlier about kind of what led to making the game. You mentioned that there weren't too many games that were in this space that were focusing on gameplay as well. But was there anything else that you want to add to that first question?
So I want to try to, you know, answer these and not have to like formulate answers or whatever and just read them off the cuff. So whenever you got the question, you can just ask it to me that way, because I definitely don't have the list up. But
okay.
So to answer your question, you know, I have been a software engineer for almost 2 decades, and I've grown up playing video games. I love video games. You know, I remember getting, you know, my first Atari and going just crazy with that. And then, you know, the Coleco. No, actually, it was ColecoVision. No, actually, my first system was a Commodore. Technically, my first system was an IBM PC Junior.
Okay.
So IBM PC Junior, which I believe was the first, I'm dating myself here, which was the first home computer that you could buy from IBM. And I remember the video games, and they used to be like these little, used to be floppy disk or the cartridges. You had to buy like a cartridge adapter, and you can put it in there, and it was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So I've been gaming for a long time, you know, different systems, different platforms, whatever. And as a gamer, you know, and as a human being, which is, you know, I'm like very set in my ways. You know, I like what I like. I'm the type of person that'll like get up in the morning and like do the exact same thing.
Creature rabbit.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, I mean, I like what I like. You know what I mean? I'm unapologetic. I'm somebody that works. I'm the guy in the room that'll work harder than anybody else. It's not like I just pride myself on that. It just is what it is. And I'm very set in my ways, and there's things that I like. And, you know, females, beautiful looking females and stuff like that. I mean, it's something that I enjoy. It's something that I like, and video games is something that I like. And I just think both of those together is just a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I'm going to be sitting down playing a video game for, you know, hundreds of hours, I want to be looking at, you know, a fine female on the other on the screen. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to look at it. I'm a third person gamer. I like more third person games than first person games. And, you know, it's not like I'm trying to look at a dude's ass for hundreds of hours. Yeah. So we had there wasn't really that type of motivation to make the game. It's just what we like, man. You know what I mean? And, you know, I've been in, you know, for just as long as I've been a software engineer, I've been an entrepreneur as well. And one of the things that I've learned in my many failures and my very few successes is that number one goal is you gotta absolutely love what you're doing. You have to be willing to do what you're doing for free. And that sounds cliche, but bro, if you're going to fail, you are going to fail if you don't. So a lot of that comes with people just trying to figure out what it is that they love. I just happen to know what I love, you know? And video games and attractive females in video games, customization, and all that kind of stuff is stuff that I love, stuff that I enjoy. And that is, paramount when it comes to those days where it's just like, my God, this is fucking rough.
Yeah.
This shit is fucking rough, you know? But then when you hit those points where nothing is going right, where everything seems to be going wrong, everything is against you, you have all these problems, things are going on, shit's fucking exploding, the fucking sky's falling. Those are the times where you would just bail if you didn't love what you did, because it's like, what the fuck else am I gonna do, right? What else am I gonna do? This is what I love, this is what I enjoy. I'm not gonna take my time to switch over to doing something that I don't love. So that's a long-winded answer to your question, but the basis of the answer is that we just love what we're doing. We love this style of game. I put in more hours. As long as I've been a gamer, I've put in more hours until I got 8K hours in this game.
Wow.
And I love it. And I enjoy what I'm doing. So just love and the passion for the game is what kind of brought it to what kind of carried it to the point that it's to the form that it's in today.
Okay. So
that was a long answer, yeah.
No, it was a long answer, but it was. I think it touched on all the things that you really wanted to kind of get to regarding that, though. And so the game is in early access now, right? It's available through Patreon. If you're a subscriber on Patreon, you can get access to the game now, if I understand correctly.
That is incorrect.
Incorrect. Okay.
That's incorrect.
Okay.
So yeah, we actually have a significant issue with that we're trying to figure out how to manage. And we, no matter where we put it, how much we write it, if we put it in caps, if we put it in bold, if we put it in red bold, if we put it in red bold caps with exclamation marks, if we put it with red bold caps with exclamation marks with asterisks, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So no, the Patreon is not the Patreon is a service that we are providing. We are currently in closed alpha. I think one of the disconnects there is that I don't, as long as I've been a gamer, I started developing and working on games in 2001. Let me think about that. Maybe like the early 2000s.
Okay.
So I come from a background of commercial development. So in commercial development, there's a very specific software development path. When you're deciding to create software, there's this very specific, and this is not like nothing that I invented. This is just what is. And there's a very specific path that you go through when you're creating software. The video game company has kind of bastardized that procedure a bit. Well, not a bit, a lot.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the path that we're on, when it comes to the development of software, we are in the closed alpha phase. So, you can start your development path. Well, no, you wouldn't start it there, but one of the earlier phases in the development of software is the closed alpha, which is basically people have access to the game and they can play the game, but there's just a segment of people, a small segment,
right,
of people that have access and they're playing. And generally you want that segment to be large enough to be able to provide feedback and suggestions and bug reports so that you can keep the development moving. You can keep the game, the software improving. Because if that group is too big, what ends up happening is A, you don't have the resources to be able to field that feedback, and B, you have a lot of duplicate issues that are being reported, and then you got to go through those duplicate issues and all that kind of stuff. So we are in closed alpha phase right now. We are not accepting new players at this time, and basically what we're doing is we're working towards open alpha phase. At which point, we will allow more people to come in and play the game. So we got the alpha phase, the beta phase, and the release phase, and you technically can have a closed and open alpha, and a closed and open beta, and then you get to release when release basically is where you put the game out and feature complete. So technically beta is feature complete. Beta is supposed to be where you're doing all the bug fixes and stuff like that, but definitely release is feature complete. And you've got the difference between beta, which is feature complete, and release is that release is feature complete like beta, but in the release phase you have enough bugs fixed, basically the high priority game software breaking issues have been addressed in the release phase. So basically in that beta phase, you're cleaning up those issues that are basically breaking the software, which prevent the user from using the software. So we're in closed alpha.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right. So it's still a while off before it's readily available for people to actually jump in whenever, in terms of trying the game out for themselves.
I wouldn't say a while off, but anything I say outside of that is just going to cause fury. From our yes,
those are facts.
Our community is definitely ready to play. And we have to be, as a collective, very careful as to any statements that we make as far as when the game is going to be available. Like, soon is not a word to be used. Like, there's an actual edict within the company that do not say soon. Please don't say soon, because then people will freak out and they got pissed off, and I get angry emails about release the game already and that kind of a thing. So I can't tell you how many times a day you have to feel the whole release the damn game already. So we're really careful with that kind of aspect. But I will say that it's all for the best, because the longer it has time to bake, and the longer it has time for us to clean up issues and clean up mechanics and polish the game, the better end result it's going to be for the person at the end of the line that gets to join in the open alpha. Open alpha.
And I'm showing examples of some of the tests that you all are doing in terms of the bat swarm test and how that looks in application.
Cool. That's a cool ability. Actually, it's a travel ability, and I thought that one turned out really well.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah.
And so I guess the other question that I have as well is, what is the roadmap? I know you mentioned giving ETAs is really dangerous, especially earlier on in development.
But bomb level danger.
Yeah. So what would you say is kind of the overall roadmap of what you're looking to accomplish with from here till release?
So I would say from here to open alpha, because we generally try to look at the next big milestone. We try not to look past the next big milestone. So, we're in alpha phase. So the next big milestone is open alpha. And as far as a complete release is something that we're not even, thinking about, just because we don't want to lose sight and not focus on what we need to do. But for right now, what we're doing is we're mostly fixing game-breaking issues, like things that are going to be very problematic for us once we get to open alpha, and polish, making things a little bit of balancing, for skills and gear and stuff like that, because there's a lot in the game, that needs to be worked on. So I would say balancing very little of that, but mostly polish and mechanic fixing and kind of high priority bug fixing and stuff like that. And as a general outlook, basically we're looking to get to open alpha in 2020.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess that does lead into some of the other questions that we have on the list as well.
Sure.
I'm gonna put up a little one of the intro videos that you have for the story. What can people expect of the story?
From a story standpoint, it's funny because the story kind of came about before the game came about, which is well before the game came out, which is kind of a little different than normal. But I mean, we because I like story-driven games. I like dialogue-heavy games. I like well-written stories and stuff like that. So it's kind of it's difficult in the way that we have so much work that we have to do from a development standpoint when it comes to mechanics and bug fixing and you know gear and all this stuff. And then at the same time, there's this whole other aspect that's the story. And you know, we're only 4 people right now. There's 3 developers. Two of the developers working full time. One is working part time, and then we have a community manager. Shout out to Hikari, who does an amazing job. Okay. And you know, we work insane hours. So I am amazed at what we have been able to get into the game story-wise. That for me at this point, once I get past the mechanics and all that kind of stuff, the story is the most fun to write, you know, like the questing and stuff like that. So what you can expect is a great story, but at the same time, we are limited by just manpower. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Right. We would love to be able to get to a point where the game sees the level of support from the community when it gets, you know, to open alpha, so that we can, you know, dedicate more resources to the story and the quests and stuff like that. So that basically, you know, we individually are not wearing like 100 hats. Because I am doing the story writing, and then also we have 2 other writers that have contributed along the way. But you know, the whole, you know, it's really dependent upon resources and, you know, what we can kind of carve off for somebody else to work on, like dedicate, you know, somebody to work on a story. But as far as like the mechanics and what we have laid out to be able to deliver a story, I am very proud of the work that we've done within the game. So basically everything is in place to tell an amazing story. The lore is there and in place to be able to deliver an amazing story. We've done what we can as far as the resources that we have to be able to get what we can in there. But really that thing is gonna peak when we can dedicate some serious resources to you know, having somebody or hiring somebody that can focus on that, or maybe even 1 or 2 people to focus on the writing and the quests and stuff like that.
Right.
So we actually have 1 comic that you can read for free on the website. We have a book that you can read for free on the website. All of this is backstory and lore for the game. We have 4 or 5 short books that you can acquire through questing in the game and read in the game. And then we have another novella that is not available in the game. Actually, it's available in a secret place that people will have to figure out from questing.
Okay,
but anyway, so there's a lot of literature that leads up to the beginning of the game. So it's very lore heavy. There's a lot of lore there. It's just being able to, you know, get as much of that into the game, which we've done quite a bit of, but we just want to do more of.
Okay, I understand. So we talked about the story a bit. What is the general gameplay loop? I feel like you can gather a lot from watching the video of what the gameplay looks like, especially for like the build testing. You can kind of see what that ebb and flow is. But from your own words, what is the gameplay loop? Like, how's it all work?
I would say, well, it definitely starts off with heavy customization. That's that part people love, you know what I mean? So people really enjoy that part of the game, and that's something in and of itself that you could spend, so much time, hours and hours and hours. But as far as like the gameplay and stuff like that goes, basically, I mean, it's not like we have like inventing something, crazy there. It's about going through, killing stuff, gearing up, getting more cool items and getting cosmetic items, finishing quests, experiencing the stories and that we've kind of laid out that we have in the game today, and enjoying the mechanics and stuff like that. But a lot of it is centered around progressing character, basic's progression, which we're really proud of what we've been able to do there, because there is no shortage of things to do in the game, in that it kind of is. You can pick and choose what it is that you want to spend time in, what you want to spend time doing in the game, and those different things can be very different from each other. Meaning, like you could go and you can spend hours doing character customization, or you can go and you can spend hours. We have a mode called Post 3D, where you can put your character in and pose them in a scene, and put the scene in the background of different characters in and different props, and you need to take 4K pictures and all this kind of stuff, so you can spend hours doing that. We have a beauty album where you can share creations that you've made, and you take pictures in the world, and you can put on beauty mode, and you can do all that. You can spend hours doing that. We have a battle mode, which is give me a second here.
Yep. And the interesting thing about that too is that, like, as an artist myself, like, you can even, I've used programs and like Poser before, and like Daz 3D, where you can kind of pose your own characters in scenes and kind of do that. So I feel like there's like a really interesting other side of this, even from like the context of being an artist or looking for reference stuff, where you can use that to your advantage.
I will say that I am really excited for the Poser, because I actually looked into this game when Oni mentioned to me, like a month ago or something like that. And
yeah, something like that.
It was about a month. And I was going through research, and I saw like, you can put your characters in like a nice pose section and whatnot. I was like, not a lot of games do this. Like, they give you an amazing custom character customizer and whatnot, but you can't take cool pictures. You can do screenshots, but being able to pose them at the different ways and whatnot, that's the kind of stuff I want to do.
Yeah,
and that's because that's the 3D modeler in me. It's all that's that's what I do. And taking a game that already has like these amazing characters and whatnot, it just makes it easier and whatnot. So yeah, I really appreciate that.
What's cool is that you can kind of customize those characters in the character customization system, and you can pull in, we did these tests where you pull in like, 20, 30 characters into the scene, and, take pictures and set it up. So, that's so, a lot of fun. And there's a certain segment of people that are going to be in it for that, right? But outside of like the visual kind of, I guess, direction where you're talking about sexy characters, all this kind of stuff, there's a whole other layer in the gameplay that I enjoy just as much, which is the combat system, the skills, the abilities, the gear that you can acquire, the methods to enhance the gear that you have. I mean, we have put a considerable amount of time into the gameplay, which players will be able to see how in depth the mechanics can go in terms of progressing your character. We have basically what we have strongholds, which is basically like dungeons that you can go through to get gear drops and to get item drops and stuff like that, and vendors throughout the different zones that we have. So there's a lot there for someone to be able to enjoy. Motion 3D, which is kind of the counterpart to Post 3D, whereas in Post 3D you can pose your characters in the scene and take a picture. Motion 3D is that any time during the gameplay session you can bounce out to a camera that you can move around in the scene, it's before I was doing video game development, I was actually a filmmaker, so I'm very knowledgeable about film cameras. So you can change the different lenses, you can turn on lens flare, you can change the aperture, you can change the there's all kind of controls and stuff like that you can do within this camera, and then you can take video with the camera. So there's a ton of stuff there for people to be able to enjoy in the game. And considering that there's only 3 people working on the client, we've just really been able to accomplish a lot. So I'm really proud of that work.
Yeah, definitely. And with that even being said, what you're talking about only having 4 people on development, and there's going to be more questions about that as well. But what would you say has been the biggest thing holding games that do focus on like beautiful, sexy women or beautiful, sexy men just doing whatever it is they're doing in the game? Like, what has been the biggest thing holding them back? Because we talked a little bit before this all started about how there's just a lot of shovelware with regard to lewd or adult oriented games where they just only focus on that and that's it.
So we're 3 developers, 1 community manager. So there's 4 people on the team, but 3 developers. Yeah. So that's a great question. Probably answered in 2 parts.
Okay.
So the thing that holds development back when you're talking about sex games or lewd games or however it is that you want to put it, simply money. It's just really boils down to, and that's I could just say money and just be done with the question. I mean, that's really just a simple answer to that. It's just money. To dig deeper into that, most companies, the game development itself is fucking hard.
Yeah,
it's so hard. It's really I don't really think people understand how brutal game development actually is.
I do.
And that's one of the things. I'm kind of segueing a little bit here, but I don't think we have a timer on this thing, so I'll just segue along. Let me know if I need to reel it in.
Yeah, no, you're good.
That's one of the things that kind of saddening to me when I see games like that get shit on, like even bad games, like even if a game is bad, right, and then you see like games just get shit on, and then it's like even like good games get shit on, right? Like you got some of those, and you could say whatever you want for the company that made the game, AAA company that made the game, they're bad, or if they do, whatever it is the hell that they do. There's like 50 million reasons to get mad at a company now, but game development itself was so hard that I think that if people truly understood how difficult it was, they would be, I guess, a little bit more understanding when it comes to, listen, you can make whatever decision you want as to whether or not you want to invest your money into a game. It's your money. You work hard for it. You do whatever you want for it. Whatever you want with it. But like when you see companies, or when you see like an indie developer and he brings a game to the market and he gave it his best shot, the game is not that great, but that's a huge fucking accomplishment. Like seriously, that is a massive accomplishment to be able to create a game and to put it out just simply due to the fact that the game development has so many moving parts.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, the thing that holds it back more than anything is money, and really basically what that translates into is financial support, because games are hard to make, which equals expensive to make, right? Well, most times. Well, it just depends on what your budget is, how big of a game you want to make, but that's separate. The point is that if you're making like a high quality, fucking kick-ass game, is going to cost some money. You know what I mean? Even if you're doing it with just like a couple of people, it is going to cost you some serious money, right? And so in a capitalistic society, people are trying to make money, right? and people are going to want to invest money in places where they can make money, right? They're not really trying to invest money in a spot where there's a high risk. People that's looking to invest don't like high risk. Trust me. As an entrepreneur that has been dealing with sexy for over 2 decades, that I know.
Oh yeah, for sure. I can tell you that.
Yeah. So the money, the lack of funding basically comes from the fact that when you normally have a game that's going to be developed, it has a process where it acquires funding. There's people, investors that help to provide funding to bring this game to market. And games are like super expensive, so it's going to require a lot of this funding. The problem with sexy games or lewd games is that, and this is not just games, period. This is just any sort of venture that basically deals with sexy or lewd or however it is that you want to put it. They're all viewed as high risk. If you sell in fucking dildos, I don't fucking know name whatever adult products you want to talk about, right? Whether it's like adult video, or it's adult products or whatever, the second adult comes across your lips, and that's not just with investment or funding, whatever, that's with like credit card processors, that's with debit card processors, just like any when it comes to support, period, it's viewed as high risk. So it just makes it really tough and really difficult. And from an advertising standpoint, you have an adult game, you have a game that deals with sexy or lewd or whatever it is, and how do you advertise it? Well, you can't you can't show the whole breadth of the product on YouTube. Your shit's gonna get taken down. Your shit's gonna get killed, right? So from a financial standpoint, it's tough because people don't want to invest because they view it as high risk. They think that, I don't know. I don't understand the fucking, as an intellectual, I don't understand that logic. It's like, what, people that like adult are somehow more likely to charge back than not? I don't understand that logic. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But the fact of the matter is that segment is viewed as high risk. So you're just not going to find a lot of people that are going to be just willing to invest to bring a game like that to market. So in a situation like that, it leaves a potential studio that wants to bring a game like that to market handicapped right out of the gate. Right? Because you just don't have the money to be able to bring a product like that to market because nobody's willing to take a chance on you, right? So what does that, basically translate into? Basically, it translates into a game where you have very limited funding, you have very limited. If you had a lot of expertise, you have a choice of either just going to work for another game company or working on a product that doesn't have all of these, anchors tied to it, right? Or you can say, fuck it, you know what? I'm going to make the fucking game that I want to make and be damned. If I don't have the support that I have. And then you work on your game. And then from there, I can't really say because that just comes down to like an individual studio and product level as to what it is that they focus on. My guess, if I were to guess on it, is that somebody that has limited funding has to be able to make a decision as to what they're going to spend most of their time on. Right? You have a slate of things that you want to get into the game, that you want to be able to market the game based off of. You want to communicate to your audience what this game is. And so if you're going to make a lewd game or a sexy game, well, obviously it's a lewd game or a sexy game. So what are you more likely to be able to want to spend time on? Well, the lewd and the sexy part, which is basically what you see has transpired. Basically, that like a majority of the time is spent on the lewd and the sexy, and less time is spent on the gameplay and stuff like that. But it's not because it's not like. It's not like people go in thinking I'm gonna make a shit game. You know what I mean? It's just like you have a very limited fixed amount of revenue, funding, money, basically that you can spend. You have a fixed amount of time. You have a fixed amount of manpower. You have a fixed number of distribution outlets. So everything is fixed. You're handicapped. So there's a lot of decisions that you have to make that sacrifice certain aspects of your game when you're in a situation like that.
Yeah.
And that translates sometimes, I'm not going to say all times, but sometimes it translates into a game that focuses heavy on what they feel will get the game. At the end of the day, when somebody's presented with a game, they make a decision where they want to buy it or not. And if you're making a sexy or lewd game, it's not like that hard to believe that somebody's going to spend most of the time on it sexy and lewd, because that's what they're advertising and that's what they're trying to sell it on.
Right.
So that's the long answer to part 1.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of validity to what you're saying there too, because unfortunately, money makes the world go round, and if I'm sure a lot of these developers have these ambitions of different things that they want to do, but yeah, resources is a huge part of that. Like, where are you gonna put that energy towards? It's unfortunate, and again, like I agree that we should all be mindful of those things when we are evaluating and kind of assessing games, but we should also be honest about how we feel about them too. So, a game that might not live up to what you want out of the game, there's two sides of that, right? Like, you should be understanding, but also like be like, hey, I'm going to still say like what I want out of this experience and what it is and isn't giving me. Now, Kevin, I think you have a lot of experience with reviewing as well, and like looking at things in a very kind of analytical way as well in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we talked about it like years ago at this point. I feel old.
Yeah, it's been years. Yeah.
Reviews, it's personal. Everything is deeply personal in what you see, and I think that you bring up a good point. This is somebody's work, and like, whether I think that it's good or not, chances are, like, for them and for other people, like whatever people they might be, they're gonna see it as valid and as something really good. Like, so trusting one reviewer is never really the way to go.
Yeah.
And I think when we look at big reviewers of games too, we always see they tend to follow each other. So they might pick up on like one thing about a game, and they'll all just trash it, even though the game is amazing, except for that one thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's always important to look around, and it's also always important to make your own judgments too. Like don't trust everything you see. It's pretty much the short way of saying that.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because reviews have become like, I know a lot of companies will use that as their barometer of whether or not their employees get a bonus or not, based on like what reviews are saying. And there's like a lot of different stipulations that aren't being considered when you decide to make the bonuses based on what review number your overall review number is. Like, who are the people reviewing the game, and like, do they even like that particular style of genre or style of game, right?
Not to mention, you always have the issue like gaming is just like the music industry, where we have the Grammy Awards, but like the people that actually nominate and decide the winners tend to be pretty deep in the industry themselves.
Right.
So they're, it's hard to have an outsider point of view when you're one of those people.
Exactly.
And so you also kind of have to question like where it's coming from.
Right.
Yeah.
We had some people in chat actually say like, yeah, this reminds me of this, that, and a third. Like, we got some pretty encouraging comments from the chat saying people are interested and intrigued by it in many different ways. What would you say is the closest comparison gameplay wise to like how it feels to play the game?
So you didn't want to hear part 2?
I mean, I do want to hear part 2. Sorry. I got caught up. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So your question is, what was it again? Your question is, what's the closest comparison? What?
Comparison to other games. Like, what's the closest comparison gameplay wise? Because you were talking about the mechanics and.
Yeah. So we get that. We get that a lot. Like, we'll get like, this game is like this.
Yeah.
All right, this game is like this. And like the different stages in our development, we've had different things. Like, first it was we're like Smite.
Yeah.
And then it was we're like what was the other one after that? It's like, oh, we're like Near Automata. And then it's like we're like Black Desert, and it's like it goes through these phases of what it is that we're like, you know. And I don't really how do I say, it's I understand why people do that. I do. To answer your question, I don't know. I don't want to come off as being rude. I don't want to answer that question. And but let me tell you why I don't want to answer that question. I don't want to answer that question because we're just trying to make a fun game.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make a fun game when you're made to live up to the expectation or the likeness of some other game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's say if I were to say we're the gameplay closely resembles Black Desert, then like everything else after that is, well, Black Desert does this, but you don't have that, or you have this and Black Desert doesn't. Then there's this whole comparison between the two games. Yeah. And that's not, I don't really think that's really healthy. Even to an extent, because I understand why you want to classify game genres, right? It's RPG, this is a MOBA, this is an MMO, whatever. Yeah. Because you want to know what it is that you're kind of getting into. So I definitely understand that piece. Yeah. But beyond the fact of, this is the kind of game that I'm getting into, from a genre standpoint, comparing like this game is like this game, or our game is like this game, or if I were to say to you, our game is very much like Near Automata, or our game is very much like Smite or whatever. That doesn't really do, and I can't speak for other studios, I'll just speak for mine. That doesn't do our game justice. Because if I told you that our game was like Black Desert, no offense to Black Desert, it wouldn't like anywhere close to capture what it is that our game is. Like if I had an answer to the question, it would be like, our game closely resembles League of Maidens. Yeah. It's not like we're trying to make a game that's kind of like somebody else. Not that because you asked that question, it's a statement that we're trying to make a game like somebody else. I understand that that's not what you're saying. Correct. But at the same time, we are making a very unique and fun game. I am under the belief that there is not another game on the market that is like our game. And that, A, is by design, and B, something that we're very proud of. So, to answer a question with an answer with an insert X, YZ game name here, I think would just be do a big disservice to the work that we're doing.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into, like, once you say, a game is like Persona, people are going to assume that there are certain stipulations that go along with that automatically.
It also always gets followed up with, like, this game is like blank, only it does this other thing. So it sort of makes it so your game has to be A plus B. Like, if I tell you a game is like Mario Brothers, only it has guns. Like, yeah, it immediately limits what the perception of that can be. So that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And feel free to follow up on the other part 2 of the last question. I got caught up in the
no, you're fine. You're fine. So the part 1 of that was the financials, which I went into quite in depth. The second part of that is more on the psychological level. There is which the second part plays into the first, but it is its own thing. And that's the psychological level of what it means to be able to bring a sexy or adult or lewd, game to market. And I don't in any way mind the term. Like I saw, like on the banner that you had for the Twitter thing, it says something like, what did it say? It says like lewd something.
Lewd rules everything around me.
Yeah, lewd rules. The cash rules everything around me. I get,
Yeah.
So I get that, and that's a clever use of words, and it's cool. And I don't mind the use of the word when people are referring to our game or any other game, and that's perfectly fine. Yeah. But even with that being said, you cannot ignore the psychological effects of what terms like that or terms similar to that will kind of do for the genre. So your original question was, what are the things that are holding it back? So, you know, for games like this to really rise up, they kind of have to be accepted.
Yeah.
You know, they have to be not necessarily the norm, but it can't be something that's just like shunned.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, one of the really interesting things from a psychological standpoint, and really when you're talking about like different countries and cultures and
I know where
stuff
you're going
like
with this, yeah.
is how far back we are as a society, I don't know if there are any non-Americans on this call, so if there are, sorry about that, but like as far as like our country goes, we are like pretty far back when it comes to being okay with sexuality, which is really strange. I mean, well, maybe it's not strange, but it was surprising to me. It was something that I learned, where it's just like so many other countries are so okay with embracing sexuality.
Yeah.
But our country, the U.S., Americans in general, we're just really far back when it comes to that. And I could talk literally for hours as to why I believe that is. I won't bore you with all that. But it doesn't make. But that is what the situation is. It is the scenario that we live in today. Yeah. Right.
And it's strange because we kind of in a lot of ways glorify violence, for example. But we're like super not okay with any time, you know, regular television, there's anything mildly sexual. There's too much boobs being shown, but no nipple. Like, it's very interesting.
That's the one of the ass backwards things about what we've got going on here is that, you know, something that I mean, just think about this from a very deep level. All right, I'm gonna go deep with you. Okay, this is like the 8-ball on the pool table. Something that glorifies the end of life or the ending of life is totally made to be okay.
Yeah,
totally made to be okay. You know what I mean?
As long as it's senseless fun, right?
Yeah, you know, whether it's, you know, take a shotgun to the face or, you know, killing, mass murdering, snipering, whatever the fuck you want to put in there, you want to insert there, all that shit's perfectly fine. But something that like contributes to like the creation of life, the existence of life, the abundance and the beauty of life, you know, sexuality, making love, you know, having children, all this, that shit is just like, hell no, motherfucker, don't even try it.
Yeah.
Don't even try. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And that's just really, this is just a really strange thing for me. And I don't know why that is. I would assume, I don't really have any answer as to why, you know, nudity in a movie is just so fucking taboo, but like taking a shotgun to the stomach is just like, you know, it's all right. Now I get it, you know what I mean? It's the direction that the society is in, and it's not like it's something you could press a button and then flip a coin and all of a sudden, you know, I'm sure religion plays a big part in that, you know, now that I'm actually thinking about it. But
oppression is a big part of that as well. Like,
I just blame the Puritans.
Say it again?
I just blame the Puritans.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a part of it, yeah. The Puritans, and also just, you know, female empowerment. Like, I'm gonna go there. Men, even now, are afraid of women being powerful, and like, you know, obviously this is a situation where the game is like about kind of glorifying Lewd and blah blah blah. But like, at the end of the day, like, a reason why, you know, man has ruled the rules of society for so long. They're afraid of many different things. They're afraid of people of color, like, having any kind of presence in media. They're afraid of women having power over themselves and in media. That kind of ties into, you know, abortion rights and what women can do with their own bodies. Like, it all ties into all of that together. So, not to simplify the answer, but to kind of say, like, all of these things have contributed to public's or American society's perception of like sex or sexiness or sexuality.
And I think with video games too, there's also just so much extra stigma because it's still viewed as like the thing for kids. Like,
Yeah.
even though, you know, the market is I mean, I guess there are still a lot of kids playing, but like they've, you know, so much of the market is no longer children. It's still viewed as like, oh well, you know, I got you that Nintendo, so you know, I got little Jimmy the Nintendo, so he can go play Mario.
On the female thing that you're talking about, I think that's quite interesting because I personally think I think it's strange if you were to have a setting where you know, people have different gifts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If I, you know, I'm in pretty good shape. I work out, stuff like that, you know. But if I had like the physique of the Hulk, I wouldn't be like walking around, you know, all covered up and stuff. I'd be like showing my muscles and whatever. I'd be, you know what I mean? I'd be perfectly fine with all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I would be perfectly fine as a dude. You know what I mean? Showing off what I really worked hard on, or maybe if I had just like naturally amazing genetics, hell, if I didn't work hard on it, I'd be perfectly fine with showing it off either way.
Mm-hmm.
I just think as human beings, the whole notion that your physical appearance isn't something that you can be proud of and show off because somehow, and this is just has nothing to do with male, female, just like human being, period. There's nothing taboo about, you know, there should be, anyway, in my opinion, nothing taboo about nudity or beauty or, you know, any of those things. I mean, you know, you show off a beautiful piece. Listen, if somebody drew a shit piece of art, it's not like you're going to throw that up on the wall, you know, but if somebody created a beautiful piece of art, that's something that you want to put on display.
Yeah.
To me, there's no difference between that and like the human form. You know what I mean? The human form is beautiful. I happen to enjoy the female form, you know, and I don't think there's anything wrong with putting something that you whether you worked hard on it to get that way, or, you know, if it's just like something that you were naturally blessed with. I don't, you know, see that there's any issue with enjoying and showing off, you know, how you look. It's no different than you being able to show off your intelligence. Maybe you're a naturally gifted, intelligent person. You know, you see these fucking kids that are doing all this crazy ass math at young ages and all that.
Yeah.
They on the podium, you know, saying, you know, spell arachnophobia, AR, and then they doing all that shit. So, you know what I mean? They're showing off their talents. They're showing off their gifts. You know what I mean? There's the notion that somehow beauty is just like, that's the one thing that you can't show off, or that's the one thing that you can't do. You know, fuck off. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just, it's ignorant. But to go back to what I was saying about the second part of it, is that from a psychological level, there's a lot of work or progress that needs to be done to get past the whole idea that somehow sexuality or nudity or beauty or sexiness is bad. And that like is like deeply ingrained into society, or some societies anyway, some more than others, even down to, you know, cultures, in our language even. I mean, like, so you have that whole thing, lewd rules everything about me. I mean, if you really like digging deep, I mean, just look at the definition of the word lewd, right? What is the word lewd itself means? It starts off with fucking offensive. That's what the word means. It means offensive, and then it goes on to discuss, usually in a sexual or term, right? So like, if you got a word that right off the bat tells you that you should be fucking offended, you know, how is that going to play from a societal standpoint? Right? That's not going to be something that like a whole bunch of people are going to jump on, because you're being told on the onset by the very fucking definition of the word that your modus operandi is to be offended. You know,
that's a really interesting point.
So it's very deeply ingrained into our society, into our culture, into our language. I mean, you're basically pre-programmed in various different ways for you to oppose. In that part of it is going to be I don't know that we'll ever get past that, to be 100% certain, because it's so deeply ingrained.
And just to be clear, I know you already know this, but just to be clear to our audience, many of you who are part of the community, we use the word lewd very loosely as a way to just explain something that is sexual in some way. We aren't necessarily perpetuating the idea that, you know, crude or offensive in regards to sexuality when we do say the word lewd, outside the context of what you just said there. I actually didn't even know that was the literal definition. I'll show y'all actually on stream here.
Damn. Hey, I actually didn't know it was actually offensive. I actually looked it up. I was like, huh.
So that's very interesting.
So, hey, listen, I don't want to be coming off like that's definitely, listen, I'm the last fucking person to be like judging people for use of words or whatever. It doesn't, I'm totally not that dude. So and I'm, you know, there's nothing wrong with using, and listen, it is what you live in a society where that's, you know, that's how it is what it is. I mean, it's not like you're just going to be like, you know, dude, if you just all of a sudden say, yeah, all right, I've learned today that lewd means offensive, and fuck that, we're not using the word lewd anymore. Literally, you're not quite literally going to accomplish nothing.
Yeah.
There's, you know, I'm just kind of pointing out that thing and how deeply ingrained it is. But the whole idea that it's so deeply ingrained basically will yield the situations or the scenarios in which you will find people using those terms and they're not 100% understanding of what that term is. Basically, the offensive part really comes in the connotation form, where you just like literally you hear the word, and you know when you hear the word that it's you might not have known like that was the actual definition, but you definitely know when you hear the word nude, it's like supposed to be something that you're not supposed to be doing, right? You know that much.
Depending on the context, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, at least that the norms, or the society is telling you, hey, you know, hey, you know, slap you on the wrist for, you know, doing whatever it is that you're kind of doing. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the use of the word. I'm just kind of demonstrating that how deeply it's ingrained with what it's trying to kind of signal to you is there, and yeah. So there you go.
Okay. Gotcha. If you alluded to this earlier, but I want to see if there's anything else you want to add to it. If you had unlimited budgets, unlimited time to do what you want to do for the game, what would you do?
Exactly what we're doing.
Okay.
More, nothing less.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
If we had an unlimited budget, I don't know, to tell you the truth, limited time would not be a good thing. That in software development, that's like unlimited time is like death. Because then you just like, well, the best software development is where you can, and some of the best developers will fall prey to these endless development cycles. Yeah. So I'll take the unlimited budget part of that, but not the unlimited time. But if I had an unlimited budget, I would. The one thing that is very clear to me is that, and that also plays into the fact that when you see games get shit on, especially some of these AAA games, like where you have these companies where you have these really fucking talented people, you know, like you remember back in the day where your mom told you, hey, you know what I mean? No, okay, my mom didn't tell me this, but you know, maybe some people's moms told them this, or some people's dads, or whatever. It's like, you know, music, you're not going to be, you know, you can't make any money being a musician, or that artist stuff is not going to get you anywhere. You need to, you know, get a real job, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And it's funny to me that today's time, like people that are making like fucking shit tons of money are fucking really creative and talented artists. And I don't mean artists by just like, you know, drawing 2D, 3D, but I mean artists, musicians, you know, all those creative types that was always pre-programmed, that wasn't the stuff that really was going to give you, you know, a field that you can actually, you know, make money off of. If you're really talented, those people are fucking kicking ass today, which the internet has really helped bring that along, and that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But if I had an unlimited budget, I would spend the time to find the most talented fucking people I possibly could. Because what I believe is that the difference between, and I'm not going to say this necessarily has to deal with how the game is received, because how a game is received is so, it's so chaotic right now. There are any number of things that can drastically change how a game is received. But when it comes to an actual game's quality, the difference between a really awesome game and a really fucking shit game is the talented either developers, which you can kind of view as artists as well in their own way, the 2D artists, the 3D art, the sound, the music, you know, all the when it comes to the art perspective of gaming, when you have talent that are really fucking kick ass, like really talented people that are also creative and can think out of the box, you put all that shit together and it makes an awesome game. The problem that poses for a company that doesn't have a lot of money is that those talented people are they're snatched up like crazy. You know what I mean? You just be hard pressed to find really, really, really talented people like that haven't been picked up by the major AAA companies.
Right.
So you kind of have to find, you know, just, you know, search and see, you know, whatever it is you can find. But the point is that if I had unlimited development, that would not be a problem, you know, finding really talented and creative people.
Right. Okay.
So that's what I would do.
All right. Very cool. We have talked before, once, you know, all the COVID stuff basically just started happening. We've been having a podcast and kind of seeing the progression of what's been going on in the game development world, as well as just in the world in general. And I know that we talked a little bit offline, off stream, about specifically how that's been impacting you. But is there anything that you are able to talk about in terms of how it may have affected your own life or development of the game specifically?
So, no, we spend so much time. We're like literally no-lifing the development of this game. So we spend so much time working on the game and having no life and basically not being able to socialize that much, and, you know, the occasional movie or television show here and there.
Yeah.
So normally wouldn't have been that much, you know, and this definitely is not to take away from all the number of people that have either passed from COVID or having trouble or issues, or family members that are suffering from COVID. It's definitely a real thing and definitely very saddening to see.
Yeah.
But from our standpoint, it normally would not have affected us very much, except for two cases. One is that we had one of our developers we had for a certain time there, we were in fear may have contracted COVID, which was fucking it was that was an interesting time. You know, when that stuff's kicking up, it's like, you know, you don't know what's what. You don't know if you got like bronchitis or you got like, you know what I'm saying? So it's very like, you know, all these things and it's news reports, so you don't know what the fuck is going on. It's not like it was something that we've really dealt with in our lifetimes. Definitely not mine. I'm older. So we did have a kind of a scare period there. Thank God, you know, that ended up not being the case. So we were good there. And then outside of that, most of my so I have a lot of family that live in New York that's dealing with you know, the hardest hit, you know, number of cases as far as people passing and people, you know, contracting COVID. And we actually had a family member pass that had to go to a New York hospital. It's just like the craziest fucking thing ever. Like, if you got to go to the hospital, like the worst time for you to have to go to the hospital is when this shit is happening.
Absolutely.
And it's a hospital that's in New York, and, you know, like, people are only in there if they got COVID, but like nobody, I'm sure plenty of people, but at the same time, you know, the idea that you're in that state and you're dealing with this crisis, and then you have an issue that may or may not be related to COVID, but you got to go to the hospital anyway. Like, what about the people that have to go to the hospital for like the normal shit?
Right.
Like, and then normal, it's like, what the fuck is normal?
Yeah.
But those people are screwed. So I won't go too much into that, but I'll just state that there was some issue. We had a passing in the family, which was very difficult for us. But those are the two. That's how COVID affected us. Outside of those two things, we've pretty much been able to move along in our development as normal, thankfully. So yeah, there you go.
Okay. All right. What has been the thing that you have learned as like a big takeaway with developing League of Maidens? Like you mentioned before that you've been a developer for a long time now, so it's not like you're new to the world of development, software or gaming wise. But what was the big new thing that you took away from it?
If I had to tell you the takeaways that I got from working on this project, this conversation would take like another 7 hours. There's a lot. There's a lot that we've kind of learned. Some more important than others. I think when you make the public aware of what you're working on is something that we learned to do better on. From a software and development standpoint, there's many things that we learned from a technical aspect, because commercial development is very different than software development as far as the things that you have to do. As far as not only creating mechanics but informing people of how to use mechanics, dealing with things like load times, dealing with things like memory, dealing with things like hard drive space or SSD space, or software delivery and distribution and marketing and advertising and social media. And holy fuck, I quite literally could talk for hours and hours and hours on just that subject alone. So there is a lot because there are so many moving parts to development. We've learned so much, and it's not even just about like the actual game itself, because we're such a small team. A lot of that also even has to do with just like customer interfacing as well. You know what I mean? I've had many businesses. I've had many businesses where I've dealt with customers, right? I've never had a business like this where I've dealt with customers, because things are so different. Because I don't know that the products that I made available to customers, that those customers were, they were not as passionate as gamers are. Gamers are just a passionate bunch, period.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot that goes into dealing with gamers. And okay, this is the biggest takeaway that I've gotten, just to answer your question, because I've like totally dodged like 50% of your fucking questions.
you answered them. You've just done so in a more elaborate format.
It's deep. It's very deep.
Not to, probably well beyond or in a different direction, or more deep than the answer that you're expecting. But to answer your question, is the biggest takeaway that we've gotten from developing this game, if you take away all the kind of the technical aspects of the game development, is dealing with passionate customers.
Yeah.
There is a lot to learn when it comes to dealing with really passionate customers. None of which I was prepared for. Like fucking none of it. None of it. And the worst part, and trust me, you don't have to break out the violin for me. I'm very, listen, I wake up every fucking day. And no matter if I'm working a 16 or an 18-hour day, I am so very thankful to be able to do what I am doing. I have in my life had the benefit of finding and experiencing my vocation. It's my calling. It is what I love to do and what I would do for free every single day. And I'm, ever since I was a kid, all I ever wanted to do was to make video games. So the fact that I'm actually making video games, and I can do that as a living, listen, fuck off if you're going to start crying and whining about, your issues with dealing with customers. So with that being said, one of the issues or the problems or things that tend to be problematic when it comes to dealing with customers is that the perception on the other side of that transaction is that you are perfect and in-fucking-human. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, as a person that's putting out a product, there's a whole range of personalities and things that you deal with people, and there's a whole range of understanding that you have. This person just really wants to play the game. Listen, they could be wanting to play any of the 1 million games on the fucking market, but they want to play your game. Shut the fuck up and just be happy about that, right? But the other side of that coin is you're a game developer. Your product is supposed to be, and I'm not saying this is the 100%, right? It's not. Yeah. All right. I'm not even gonna try to spin it like it's the 100%. But even if it's the 75% or the 70% or the fucking 60%, there's an idea that your actions and your movements are such that you should be making the right calls and saying the right things at the right times, free of error, free of making a mistake. You are to be 100% on and perfect, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from the time that you start to the to the time that the game is out. It's not real. It's just not realistic. I don't expect that kind of viewpoint to change ever, and that's perfectly fine because like I said, very blessed and thankful to be doing what I'm doing, and that kind of a thing. But again, you still have to acknowledge the fact that that thing exists. And with that, a lot has come in understanding how to work with like disgruntled people that are disgruntled when it comes to the product that you're offering, or mistakes that you may have made when it comes to the product that you're offering, and you just have to kind of weather through that. You know what I mean? You have to kind of take your licks, and you have to be like, okay, this was a mistake. How do we not make this mistake again? Like a lot of times we'll have meetings, and the first thing I'll say when it comes to an issue is, what is it that we're going to do to make sure that we never make this mistake again?
And I'm sure like a really big, humbling experience as well is like, I'm not sure how you've handled it before, but one of the things from a kind of a analytical perspective as well, or from a content creator perspective as well, is how important it is to like own those mistakes and like acknowledge those to those people who are invested. So like, publicly acknowledging like, hey, this didn't go as well as we wanted it to. Like, this is a mistake that I made or our team made or blah blah blah. How do we fix that?
Right. But actually, you bring up a good point, and allow me to expound on that. So there are a segment of people. Okay, they're just going to be interested in your game. Right. There's a segment of people that this game speaks to whoever this is, right? It's like, I love this idea of this game. I love where the direction that they're going, all this kind of stuff. We're really proud in the fact that so much of League of Maidens has been, people providing criticisms and feedback and bug reports and all kind of stuff. People saying, hey, you got this, but I really would enjoy if you did something like this. It's funny because we'll put in a new feature into the game, and I just think this is the most kick-ass feature ever, and we spent all this time on it. It's fucking amazing. And then like literally it happens every single time you just come to understand that this is going to happen. We'll debut it, and people are like, oh, this is awesome, this is great, but what about this? And it's like every single time, like within like the first like 15 minutes, it's like, but what about this?
Yeah.
You know, and that's fine. We don't have any problem with that. We're perfectly fine with that because we just understand that's people that are invested in the game, they're invested in what you're doing. That's a plus. That's a good thing. People want to suggest, you know, they want to contribute, they want to provide feedback and suggestions. That's totally cool. We love the engagement, and so much of what League of Maidens has that makes it awesome, you know, has been through fan feedback or has been through potential player feedback where they're kind of saying, hey, we don't really like this much, this just fucking sucks, you know, you know, try something, you know, try this out or whatever, and it's that kind of a thing, right? And we love that and it helps to make the game better because those people are part of your community and they're invested in your community. When it comes to what you said, those are the people that you want to speak to.
Yeah.
Well, not those are the people you want to speak to. Those are the people that we like to speak to, right? We like to speak to the people that like have a general interest and understanding, and basically at the end of the day, their criticisms and their feedback and you know, their suggestions are for the betterment of the game because they want to see, no matter, like it's funny, there are some people that are part of our community that they'll give some feedback and it's just like, oh my god, that's just a dagger to the fucking heart. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, oh my god, you know. And there's some people that just don't mince words. I mean, it's just like, this sucks, or I don't like this, or whatever. Yeah, you know. But those people, we know, are playing the game, they're invested in the game, and whereas their feedback or their criticisms might not be the best worded, listen, we're not in the business of trying to teach people how to give feedback or make sure they're nice. You know, gamers are not going to be, most of the time, lots of the times, I don't know about lots of the times, gamers are not going to be nice, right? So you have to be able to sift through that feedback and be able to understand, you know, who's really genuinely interested in this game being better through their criticisms and their feedback. But then at the same time, you just have the people that literally want to see your ass die. Yeah. Like, they literally want to see your company dead for no other reason other than the fact that you got titties in your game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those people, not so much. So when you talk about being able to, you know, own mistakes, like we had this feature in the game once. I thought it was the coolest fucking feature ever. Saying it out loud, it's probably somebody's going to be like, I don't know why the fuck you thought this would be good. But point is, at the time, I thought it would be fucking awesome. Okay. Yeah. So I'm at Dave & Buster's. Like, I'm set up the scene for you. All right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm in Dave & Buster's. I got the fried food in my nose.
All right, you gotta be ready. All right. So I'm at Dave & Buster's. Do you guys know what Dave & Buster's is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Got those?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. That's a good start. So I'm at Dave & Buster's. I'm with my son, right? And my son, you know, we'll go play, because I come from the old school days where you used to have like the quarter arcades, and that was where you went to play your video games. Like, I remember the day when home consoles were announced, and I was like, what the fuck? You don't have to spend quarter. You do this shit in your house.
Yep.
What the fuck is this? This is fucking crazy.
Street Fighter 2 at home? What?
Yeah,
I can keep playing.
He was like, but the graphics aren't going to be as good as the arcade, so fuck that home shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? I got my quarters. I'm good. So
right.
I go way back when it comes to, you would be able to go into the malls, and like the malls had like a dedicated a spot for where all the stand-up arcades were. And if you wanted to play arcade games, you would go to the mall, you would go to the spot where they had the arcades, and you would sit in line and you would wait. And whenever it was, you know, the way you determined what line and what the order was is you had to take your quarter and you had to put it up on the console behind the other dude that put his quarter up, and that signified I got next. So that's where I come from. Okay, so the only semblance of that exists today is these, you know, kind of shitty places, like, not shitty, but, you know, these places like Dave & Buster's and some of the other places where they have these arcade games, but they don't really have, like, they got like the shooting arcade games, and they got like the car driving. I mean, they're really cool, you know, fighting games and other stuff like that. That stuff is like totally golden axes and all that stuff. That stuff is gone.
Yeah.
But it still kind of gives me that same feeling, and it's something that my kid loves. So I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And so we do that all the time. We'll go to like Dave & Buster's. I get the card, I charge it up. We just go ham on the video games, and then he goes into the store. He gets those shitty ass toys and
toys.
stuff like that. yeah. Where they charge the it's like the amount where you don't really know how much you spent for the thing, but it's like you're figuring out that you're paying like $500 for some $5 cheap ass plastic toy or whatever. But anyway, so we're at this place and we're having a great time, father son thing, and then he starts playing this game Fruit Ninja, and I was, oh man, I remember Fruit Ninja. And then he's playing it, and then he's kind of showing me how to play it or whatever. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's pretty fun and stuff like that. And it's like they got the idea with the bomb. It's like, oh, don't hit the bomb. You swipe it and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, wow, that's a pretty cool mechanic. The whole bomb thing, I think is pretty cool. I was like, huh. Yeah, I like that. It's really fun. Just don't want to, fuck up because you got to be able to pay attention to where the bomb is. And it's like, All right. All right. Okay. So then, back into normal development, doing my stuff. And I was like, I wonder how we can, this bomb thing, I think it'd be a pretty cool mechanic. All right. So I'm like, all right, there's looting in the game, right? So, break open a crate, you kill a mob, you kill a boss. There's loot. There's a loot UI that comes up. You can pick what loot you want. Most people fly through fucking loot so fucking fast. They're literally just hitting the key. Like the interface has the ability for you to click on the loot that you want, right?
Okay.
But the inventory space is such that literally 99.9% of people just hit claim all, right? They're not even looking at the loot.
Yeah, that's a natural reaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like as a matter of fact, just because of that, we have integrated a whole separate UI that even if you hit claim all, we're still going to show you what items were added to your inventory at the top of the UI, right?
Right.
People love that feature, but they did not love this other feature I'm getting ready to talk about. So we got this thing where like 99.9% of people are just hitting the X and claim all. I just thought, man, you know what I mean? It's just like I don't know. I want to be different, and I want to do something cool, unique, innovative, something fresh, because like so much of our game, I love the fact that so much of our game is unique. So I'm going to be unique even down to the mechanics. So we integrated this feature where basically
I'm laughing because someone in chat's like, I remember this feature. They're like having PTSD flashbacks.
Keep in mind, I thought this was the coolest fucking thing. I thought this was the coolest thing ever. Right? You kill a mob, it drops loot. Or you break open a crate, it drops loot.
Yeah.
Then you loot the loot. The UI pops up. Within the UI, there's a certain fixed number of spaces of possible things that it can drop. I think it's like 5 or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There was a percentage chance that one of those pieces of things one of the things that dropped was going to be a fucking bomb. So you had to, when the UI popped up, click around the loot that you wanted to go into your inventory. And if you fucked up, fucking boom.
Oh my god.
Damn, that is brutal.
This was in our game. This was in our game. And I play tested this thing for at least 30 hours.
Yeah.
At least 30 hours I play tested it, and I found it to be enjoyable. I did. And I'm gonna tell you why. I thought it was fun because it made me think about what was going into my inventory.
Mm-hmm.
It actually had some level of skill where if you still wanted to loot as fast, you had to be really good with looking at the items and clicking around the bomb. Basically, fucking Fruit Ninja. It was Fruit Ninja.
Mini game.
Yeah. And I thought the mechanic itself was fun. I just thought it was fun. I love the idea of hearing the click sounds when it's going into your inventory. I love the idea of dodging the bombs, all this kind of stuff. And by the way, when the bomb exploded, it actually took out HP, like a significant amount of HP.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right?
Like I'm looking at the footage as well, and like I'm seeing in some of the combat scenarios, like you're breezing through some of it, but there's like other times where like the health starts going lower and lower, and so it's not like a breeze, So
yeah. So I play tested this thing for many hours. I thought it was super fun. This thing's a fucking go. Release it. Release the Kraken.
Oh man.
So we put the build out. Mind you, I think when we put this idea in the patch notes, somebody might have said, that's probably not a good idea. Without even having used the mechanic, I'm pretty sure somebody was like,
I don't know about that one, Chief.
I don't like that, Chief. So we put it out. The community fucking hated it. They hated it. Big surprise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The community is in the chat, and they're just like, yes, please, no more.
They were like, this fucking sucks. And
funny.
I think the disconnect there is that as a developer, you are in tune with, because you just never really know how things are gonna go, right? And I've been so surprised as to the things that we've added that I thought were just gonna be major hits, and they were complete flops. And some of the things that I thought, just throw that one in there. Nobody's gonna use it, and all of a sudden, every fucking body is using it. And it's just so strange as to what hits and what doesn't hit.
Welcome to our world of content creation, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And so as a developer, you're really in tune with the fundamentals of a mechanic, what that mechanic is attempting to accomplish. But in real life, that's just not how it works. But the fundamentals be fucking damned. Whatever cool for loops you wrote, you wrote, and how optimized you were able to make the code, and how fucking amazing of an accomplishment it was for you to be able to have a bomb explode while this UI is up and still kill the player but still not bug out the yacht. Nobody gives a shit about that. Fuck all that shit, right? At the end of the day, that bomb made looting slower.
Yeah.
Period.
For sure.
That's all it ends up being. All it ends up being. When I am fucking racing through, doing what I'm doing, and I want to collect as much gold or as much shards as humanly fucking possible, don't you fucking slow me down, motherfucker. Don't slow me down. Period.
Momentum,
I don't care how cool of an accomplishment or how fucking snazzy you thought this fucking Fruit Ninja shit was. I don't really care about none of that shit. At the end of the day, what I am trying to accomplish, you are slowing me down, and it is totally unfucking fun. So one of the things that it taught me is that how cool of an accomplishment something is, or technically amazing it was, or how fun you think it is, well, you by me, how fun I think it is completely meaningless. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is what are the community's intentions? What is it that the community wants to accomplish? If you are doing things that help to improve what it is that they're accomplish, or helping them accomplish what they're trying to accomplish, it's a go. If you are doing something in the opposite fashion where it's making it harder for them, and listen, not everything can just be made to be easier. Not everything can be made to be perfect. Like one of the things we're introducing in this build that we have coming out this weekend is that we have like a considerable amount of RNG when it comes to gear dropping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And one thing that we found is like during the periods of development is that a lot of the time somebody will suggest something. Like we have this one guy, his name is Jerk Meinhof.
Yeah. I got it.
He suggests some stuff sometimes, and I just think to myself, that is the worst idea possible. Why would anybody ever want that? And you know what's funny about him? It's happened more times with him than anybody else. But it happens across the board, which goes to show how beneficial it was for us to have a community. But make no mistake about it, 100%. This is complete fact to not be debated. Without the community, which we call the Maiden Nation, by the way.
Okay. I like it.
Without the community, no doubt about it, this game would have been significantly worse than it is today.
Yeah.
significantly. And that is because of engaged members in our community that might give you the criticism that you either don't want to hear or you thought hurt your little feelings or blah 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 or whatever the fuck. But at the end of the day, I find, and especially I bring this guy up because it's funny because it happens more with him than anybody else. I have never in my life thought so strongly about something and done like complete fucking 180s later on. It's like super weird. Like some of the stuff, it's like, you know, I could probably list like 10 or 15 fucking things this guy has fucking suggested for us. And I just literally thought at the time, this is the worst fucking idea ever. Why would I ever do this? And then like not like 60 days later, it's like, why the fuck? Why in the world did I think this was a bad idea? This is like it's not like this is the worst idea. It transforms from this is the worst idea ever to this has to be done right away.
The progression.
It's so crazy. And it teaches me specifically, because I can't speak for anybody else, that you just can't be that guy. You cannot be like, we don't say never anymore. Like, I'm done with saying never. Like, no, we're never gonna do this. We're never gonna have that, because I just end up looking like a fucking ass later. You know what I mean?
You end up doing it, and you're like, well,
I'm gonna do that. You know. So we just try never to say that anymore, because at the end of the day, the collective will dictate the direction. Okay. Sure, there's some stuff that people are gonna say that either is technically beyond our, well, fuck that shit. Nothing is technically beyond our ability. But there are gonna be some things that people might suggest that we might not do for whatever the case may be. Right?
You have a very similar effect that I do. Like, no, trust me, I can do it. It might take a little longer, but I can do that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the end of the day, you have to be malleable. You have to accept that you don't know everything. Yeah. Right. And you have to be able to take that criticism, and you have to be able to take that feedback. But you know, and this probably was the most long-winded answer to a question of all time. It all goes back to, you have to, like, here's the thing when it comes to, and I hate to single this dude out but he's just a perfect example. The one thing that I know about this dude is this Jerk Meinhof guy that I'm talking about, as crass as the stuff that he might say, you know, sometimes he might say something, he's just like, he says it in such a fucking rude way. But then I look at it and I'm just like, you know what? This dude cares. He cares. He wants to make sure that this game is better. At the end of the day, his goal is to help improve the product. And in situations like that, I'm not going to waste, only a fool would waste time in the method of delivery. If the information is there to help improve, I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? It would behoove you to benefit, to either research, to test, try out, whatever, to see whether or not this is something that can make your game better. And the reason why I bring that up specifically now is because we got something that's coming in the next build that he fucking suggested this shit like fucking months ago, which is basically and it's like months ago I was just like, fuck this, why would we ever do that? No, you know what I mean? And like here in this build we have a way where like we have all this RNG when it comes to gear acquisition, and we're like going across the board, just generally trying to reduce the amount of RNG in the game, where we have very fixed and definite paths for people to get the stuff that they want in game. So basically you have, okay, so this is the item, this is the piece of gear that I want. You can get yourself in a position where you can find the gear. His suggestion was being able to get gear that had max, you know, secondary stats. Right. And I just thought, why the fuck would I do that? Because then it just eliminates people being excited about gear. And then I just thought to myself, and we just had this conversation about it, and I was just like, you know what? No, you're totally off our base on that. Especially how we implemented it. But, you know, if we have basically are adding ways for people to see a specific cosmetic that they want to farm for, and it's like this, I want this cape. Okay, so this is how many shards the cape costs. When you get those shards, you can go to that vendor and you can buy that cape. Or if you get these shards, you can go buy that helmet. If you get these shards, you can go buy that, this piece of gear.
Right.
And that's coming in the next build. And my fear for having implemented something like that is it would just completely capsize the whole benefit and enjoyment of the RNG gear delivery. Whereas like you killed the mob and all of a sudden it dropped a really good piece of gear. And like there's sometimes like I got like this fucking ring yesterday that had like 40 magic power, and I just fucking flipped the fuck out. I was so excited about it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm the fucking developer. You know what I mean? And I was just really fearful that it would kill that aspect of the game, and to come to find out that it doesn't. It doesn't kill that aspect of the game. It does actually. It can live in parallel basically with that aspect of the game. But the point is that at the end of the day, being able to see that whole kind of spectrum, that's a very difficult thing to do. But it is made so much easier when you have people that are really invested and really passionate about your game.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to those people, I will make apologies for mistakes that we've made. I will do 180s on shit that I said that I wasn't going to do before. I will do whatever for those people, because those people, those are my fucking soldiers. Those are the fucking soldiers in the Maiden fucking nation. Those are the guys that are standing on the front line, making sure that we are delivering a peak, performance, awesome product, helping us to find bugs and all this kind of stuff. So for those people, I'll die. I'll stand on the front lines and I'll take that bullet for it and I'll apologize, do whatever I want. For the people that just want to see us burn because we're making a sexy game or because we got titties, they can go fuck themselves.
There will always be
you can
those
close
people.
the stream right now. Get out.
Right. Right. And that's been one of the, I don't want to say the mantra of my community as well, but one of the reasons obviously that I wanted to bring you on board for this interview is because my community, more so than many other communities, understands that that sexy doesn't have to be bad, and I made it a goal to make sure that people not only understood that, but were comfortable with that kind of content if they're in this community, because like it comes up, or we'll talk about it in a casual conversation while we're playing any random game that we're playing. Case is someone I collaborate with pretty often, and it just comes up in conversation. So not to say that people can't have a preference towards not being sexual, but more so to say that that doesn't necessarily equal a bad thing to be sexual. And so they're
Isn't it sad though that you have to make you have to make a statement like that? Like you have to provide like sort of an explanation.
Not even in a space for that too, a place where people can
Make
go
a whole
where
space, yeah.
It's like totally strange that you feel like, or that society feels like that's something that has to be done. And I don't understand, like when people, like the whole argument about the whole, well, this is, how could you be doing, you should, some of the shit that we get is just fucking laughable.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, how could you be doing this? And, this is, just immoral and blah, 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 and all this fucking shit. It's like, listen, all right. Somebody, at the end of the day, what you're doing, is it illegal?
Right.
No.
Yeah.
So it's legal. It's illegal. Okay. Is it hurting anybody? Are you hurting somebody? Right? No, you're not. Okay. I don't understand how people are not understanding and appreciative of someone's right to choose, or somebody's right to just have what they like and what they dislike. I don't want anyone telling me what it is. Listen, motherfucker, you don't know how hard I fucking work. So just the whole thought that you think that you would be in a position to tell me what it is that I'm supposed to be spending my money on, man, burn down in flames. You know what I'm saying? It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And it's like, there is nothing wrong with someone enjoying a product and a company providing a product. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's not hurting anyone.
There's nothing wrong with it if it's not hurting anybody. Now, I understand the whole thought process that, hey, this is, it's objectifying women and all this stuff, and I understand that whole thought process.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if we're really talking about objectification, listen, I remember paying Contra with the pecs. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, to be fucking Killer's Instinct with the fucking rip, the 6-9 packs and all this other shit. It's like, listen, media exploits. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Media exploits. Period. You know what I mean? Whether it's, sexual exploitation, whether it's violence exploitation, whether, whether it's exploitation on somebody's insecurities, the whole fucking, makeup industry is exploitation of the insecurity of appearance. You know what I mean? Just capitalism, pretty much, not just fucking media. Fuck media, capitalism period.
In general.
So this whole idea that somehow that, this one industry is bad for exploiting this or whatever, it's just like, okay, so if you're gonna if that's what you're gonna be going down, then okay, we'll get in the back of the list, because there's like a whole lot of other shit that you could be more upset about when it comes to exploitation. Okay, there's like way more important things that you can deal with when it comes to exploitation. And when it comes to someone saying representation, then the only thing I can say to that is, I'm a dude and I like sexy females and I like video games, so I made a game that has sexy females in it. Like, that's not really that hard to follow, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So from an exploitation standpoint, from a representation standpoint, instead of being upset because somebody made a decision to go a certain route for a specific a company or product, because again I said much earlier, so much of success goes into doing what you love, right? Mm-hmm. So that is just going to be what is. And instead of just jumping on and being like, oh, you're doing this and representation or whatever, the quite simple answer to that is that then you do what you love. Yeah. Then you work on what you love. And so right? You take the risk on what you love. Yeah. And then that's how you're going to find representation, is that instead of wasting your time trying to shit on something else that somebody did that they love, you should spend your time on what you love. And then if more people do that, then more of these companies and more of these products will come to fruition. And then, wait a second. Maybe that might show more representation when it comes to different styles of products and different genres and things that people enjoy.
Right. And so Red Infamy actually just said something that I was going to literally ask about as a follow-up question to that, which is one of the questions as well. I have two follow-up questions to that. So a big problem, or a big part of why we don't see the kind of antithesis of that, or the other side of that, specifically in regards to like male, if you want to use the term loosely, objectification. A big part of the reason why we don't see that as prominently as we do with female objectification, again, using the term loosely, is kind of how the media and by extension games is kind of dominated by males. And so just to kind of like put that thought out there as well, is that like I think a lot of people, myself included, a lot of people don't have any issue with the fact that there are games or media with sexy females. It's just that we would like to see more of the other side of that as well, like more sexualized men in media. And again, like to your point, your objective isn't necessarily to cater to that crowd, but would you at some point or another feel any inclination or desire to do that, specifically to say like, hey, you can still have, you know, sexy females in the game just as you can have sexy males in the game? And I know that's not your priority, but is that something that you would consider?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this goes back to the whole because we've gotten that suggestion or request many times.
Okay.
Actually, and at the end of the day, I learned some time ago that if it's what the community wants, you know what I mean, and it's not beyond our technical ability, which not much is. And if it's not harmful to anybody, and it's not something that completely just is not what product we want to deliver, because at the end of the day, you know what I mean, you know, with the number of hours that we spend, you just have to be happy, you know what I mean. I got like the perfect job, you know what I mean, so I don't want to fuck that up, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like, as long as it just doesn't completely go against everything that we are, and it's something that's within our technical ability, and it's something that our community wants, you know, we hold our community near and dear.
Yeah.
They might not I mean, we read, you know, all of the suggestions, all of the feedback. That, I mean, the shit that we have either in the works, or the shit that we have worked on, or stuff that we've put out that they don't even know. I mean, we know how valuable that piece of our business is. So yeah, absolutely, that's something we would look into and add if that's what the community wants. Funny thing is that it's actually something that we've already it is something that we have already had discussions about, and something that we've already looked into to some extent. I mean, I'll say this: if our team size wasn't as small, it would have been something we did already.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
That is.
There you go. You get a little exclusive there.
Yeah. No, I think again, like I think we have a lot of alignment in terms of like how we view it all, and I think that's a really, again, I want the world to have more sexuality overall. Like if more people kind of just embraced it in more ways, we'd probably have less problems with the way genders are treated in various societies. But yeah, I you know, that's a testament though, because like I feel like it's really important to listen to the community as well, and like it's the start of a conversation at the same time, right? Like I've actually shared League of Maidens with my own community in Discord before, and like I've had people interested, men and women, like, yo, this is dope, like I actually like this. And then I've had people on, you know, men and women saying like, I would love to see what this would look like if you can have like dudes as a part of this too. And so it really comes down to support as well. Like if the community supports this kind of stuff, like we can be that much closer to seeing that be a thing.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you're right. It really just boils down to support, you know, whether or not we have the just the hours in a day, man. I mean, like we're really, you know, the number of hours that we're working is just like quite literally insane for what we're trying to accomplish. So, I mean,
not to tell you what to do, but like make sure you're taking care of yourself there too, because I've been in that situation where I've like overworked ridiculously, and
you know what's cool about that, what you just said, is that I was actually really surprised and pleasantly surprised by how many members of our community, how often I get but make sure you're taking care of yourself. How often we get the, you know, please don't push too hard, make it. And I just, we have so many people just like release the fucking game, and not really understanding what connotation that brings. It's just basically that just means work harder, work faster. But then we I wouldn't say just as much. It's definitely not just as much, but definitely a healthy amount, of people in our community that are just like, yeah, that's awesome. You guys are doing great. You guys are fucking kicking ass. They see like every single month we're putting out a patch consistently. Every single month we're banging out, like literally, if you look at our patch notes, it's fucking absurd.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fucking absurd where we got like 80, 90, 100. Let me see what the patch notes are up to for this build that's coming out on Saturday. 133. 133 either mechanics, issues, bug fixes, improvements, whatever that are going on to this build. And that's just like how we do. All right. That's just like on the regular. That's like a fucking monthly thing. Okay. That's how we roll when it comes to development. And they see how much work that we're doing. And it's super awesome to see a certain segment of the community that are just like, hey, this is awesome. You're doing a great job. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. The game is going to be awesome when you release it. Don't kill yourself, that kind of a thing. So we're really appreciative for just little things like that. You know what I mean? It's like, we love the criticism and the feedback because it helps us improve. But at the same time, we also love the, hey, we really like this thing, or we really like that thing, or, hey, take care of yourself, whatever. Because like the positive stuff drives you just as much as the, improving stuff from the criticism and the feedback.
Right.
Yeah. It's definitely the same thing when it comes to us in like content creation. A lot of like, even from Oni's community and mine as well, they always want to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, because when it comes to content creation, and it's same thing with game creation, it's a lot of work. We put hours and upon hours to make sure that the stream goes well, that we have things ready, art, meetings with companies to promote stuff,
collaboration,
so much different things like collaborations. All that stuff takes time. And there's, like you said, there's only so many hours during the day. Like I have a full-time job and I stream almost every day. I don't know how I do it. And I also do like game art as well. Like, it's like, I don't know how I do it, but I do it. But my community is always like, Casey, did you eat? Sometimes I'll be like, no. And they'll be like, go eat. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then
that's awesome to have a community that takes that, kind of cares, that it's looking out for you like that.
Right.
Yeah. And I thank God for them every day, because without them, I probably would be lost. But it's good to have like those kind of community on your back, though. It's awesome to hear that's what's going on with the Maiden Nation as well.
Thank you. We were very thankful.
Yeah. Okay, so you had a question I was actually going to ask in regards to that, because I know someone in chat right now, I'll shout you out. We had her on the podcast last 2 weeks ago. Red Infamy. Very happy to see, because I'm showing the character customizer right now, like just how many different options you have for customizing different body parts in different proportions, whatever way you kind of want to do. Some people in the community want to know, can you make fat girls? Like, can you like legit just like bring them the hips out, like the belly out, like everything? How far can you go with the creator?
I mean, it is very versatile.
Yeah.
I mean, as a matter of fact, we got to a point with that creator where I actually had to say, we gotta draw the line. We gotta stop right here because we just got into a development cycle. It was really interesting. Is that we just got into a development cycle where like we spent several months after we thought the creator was in a pretty good state, right? We got to a point where people are like, well, what about this? What about this? And what about this? And trust me, that's awesome, because at the end of the day, we did not shy away from that feedback. We implemented that feedback, and it made the system even better, more versatile. So we did a lot of work, and we're super proud, and that thing does really well. You can create pretty much just about anything that you'd want to create. I mean, we've got some stuff in there where it's just like people are like, why is this in there? But I'd rather have stuff in there where people go, well, why is this in there? As opposed to why isn't this in there?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like I remember I was watching no, I won't go there. But the point is that Yeah, I don't want to go there.
I can imagine what you're trying to say.
Yeah. But the point is that just at the end of the day, we rather have too much in there than too little.
Yeah.
So we feel very confident that people will be able to create whatever it is that they want to create. If they want to create thick girls, fat girls, muscle girls, tall girls, short girls, whatever it is that they want to do. We even have, there's a lot in there. As a matter of fact, this build coming out this Saturday. We have provided even wider range of controls on to be able to the placements of the accessories and stuff like that. So, we're constantly improving it as far as like core improvements, as far as like just like massive changes and stuff like that, because we actually reworked that system several times.
I remember seeing earlier footage of the system as well.
Yeah, the very early models are just not on point.
Yes.
So we're really happy with where we are now, and we put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
But and so in the state that we're in right now, listen, at the end of the day, when somebody and we've not to listen, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything like that, but I'm just making a statement that when we get comparisons to a company that has like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, then that's okay. We're, you know what I mean? We're doing a pretty fucking bang up job, right? With 3 people, right? So if we can do something where somebody even compares us to, a much larger company, then, that means a lot. With all of that said, as versatile and as amazing as it is, we can always improve. We can always make it better.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Absolutely can always be better. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of We have hundreds of sliders in there. I mean, we got there's 10 sliders for the breast. There's 7 sliders for the butt. There's 6 or 7 sliders for the hip. There's way more sliders in there for
little grin.
Yeah.
All about sliders, dude.
We got slide of fucking heaven in there. Okay. But there's always ways to improve. So if there's anybody that you have on your chat that is interested in creating a specific thing or blah blah blah, they happen to get into the game, they get to try it, and it's they think it can improve. Throw us some feedback. Give us some suggestions. How would you improve it? What would you do here? Let us know. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're about. Period.
Yeah. And to that point, one of the questions from chat that I'd even have lined up next, but I want to ask it now just because I feel like it is important. We talked a little bit about representation earlier. In terms of hair texture, I see that there are a ton of different options for hair, for costumes, for the body sliders as well. Sure. And something that a lot of games don't do. You mentioned that point of we want people to be thinking about why is it in the game versus why isn't it in the game. A lot of the games don't have various textures of hair. They'll have various styles of a straight texture hair, but they won't have curly or kinky or afro or all natural. They won't have that kind of thing going on. So what do you have in place for that already, or plans later on?
So remember earlier when I was talking about talent, finding the best talent, where if you had all the money in the world, you find the best talent. Hair is really tough.
Yes, it is.
Hair is really, really, really fucking hard, especially if you're in a space where you're dealing something that looks not realistic, but is made to look more realistic than cartoonish or anime or whatever. Right? Hair is just really tough. When it comes to hair, there's all a manner of things that we can do from an improvement standpoint, not even just texture and stuff like that, making hair move, all that, what I mean, there's all kind of stuff, changing the hair length and, what I mean, multicolor hair and all kind of stuff like that. Right?
Yeah.
Most of that revolves around going back to, funding and talent, basically being able to, because hair is something that, you'd be surprised. When it comes to talent, it has been very difficult. Very difficult to find. I cannot tell you how many artists that I've worked with, not trying to put anybody on blast.
Yeah.
But how many artists that we work with where it's just like it's not the quality is it's not the quality is not good enough. You know what I mean?
Fair.
And what hurts significantly in a space like that is, man, that's probably happened to us more with hair than anything.
Okay.
What hurts significantly in that is that you can't really judge. How do I put this? I mean, because you still got to pay for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you're doing a test and you're like, okay, let me see how this guy does. And then, you get him something and he gets something back. It's like, man, this doesn't work. This doesn't meet, from a quality standpoint, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
But you still got to pay for it.
Right.
So it isn't, but there's a limited number of times you're going to do that, because at that point, you're really just burning cash.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the thing about the more, the different style textures, hairstyles, just again, a fucking long ass roundabout answer to your fucking question, is that the more, the more diversity or eccentric or different style, textures, whatever it is that you have in your hairstyle, the more difficult it's going to be to create. And the fact of the matter is, just like the normal straight shit is tough to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's, again, goes back to the whole thing where I was talking about, it just hurts my heart to see people shit on games.
Yeah.
Is that if you had any fucking idea how hard it was to do some of the shit that you see, like, I mean, some of these companies, I mean, these are fucking artistes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, these are artists.
Multi-million dollar. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. You can spend all your day talking about fucking pay to win on Black Desert all you want, but that whoever motherfuckers is doing the hair in that fucking game, those are fucking them some Da Vinci motherfuckers over there.
Surreal.
All right. Okay. So I mean, and I think, just from a general standpoint, so much of that is so lost. It's so lost when it comes to game development. But the point is that, long ass roundabout answer to your question is, the shit's fucking hard. Hair is fucking hard.
Yeah.
But we do the best that we can with the resources that we have.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
what you can do at the moment.
Right. I'm still gonna push. As a man of color, as well as a content creator, as an artist, I'm still gonna push to make it more.
We had. I don't mean to interrupt, but we actually had like for instance, like we had this hairstyle. It's funny if our community manager is on, because I actually showed her she was the only person that saw the hairstyle. Like, I sent it to her and I was just like, what do you think? We had this hairstyle that had like these braids. It was like cornrows and then braids going down like this, and I just thought it looked fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I thought the idea of this hairstyle would be awesome. It would be something like completely different, but it was just like the fucking triangle count was like fucking 40,000, and the fucking thing was like clipping and all kind of fucking, and the shit was just like,
welcome to hardware crash.
It just wasn't gonna work. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many other things that goes into whether or not a piece of art can work, that it just wasn't gonna work. And then when you have like for instance, man, I would fucking love to do like a fucking afro, like just like a fucking fucking Black Dynamite like type afro.
Hell
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, all that said, but then how do you? It's just. It is definitely something that we will do better at. I'll just put it that way, because I've been talking real long on just fucking hairstyles, which shows you how long I can talk about something, but whatever.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm happy to hear that. And I'm happy to also, because I know this is an area of contention for a lot of big
You
studios.
get your hairstyle in the game. We might take some front, side, back pictures of your hairstyle in there. The dreads.
Yeah,
dreads?
man.
Dreads.
Yeah,
we
rocks.
get you modeling for a hairstyle. You can get the front shot, the side shot, the back shot. We turn it into the model and get this shit done.
I'd be happy to contribute. In addition to that, one of again, I mentioned her from the last time show. She's in chat right now because she's interested in this as well. She's happy to give resources as well. I mean, resources only go so much as to like actually implement something, but a big problem why so many bigger studios aren't able to do it, aside from it being difficult, is that they're either not putting it as a priority, or they don't have the resources on hand of people like giving them that information that could be useful towards implementing it in. So
you're talking about specifically diverse hairstyles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, at the end of the day, well, I don't know if I'm gonna go down this path, but fuck it. I mean, at the end of the day, like,
You be candid.
yeah. At the end of the day, when it comes to stuff like that, not just really just hairstyle, just like, that stuff in general, whether it's coming like clothing or, you know, whatever it is. I mean, a lot of the times, and this is just facts, so if somebody want to get pissed off about this shit, then they can fuck off. But at the end of the day, a lot of the times what you'll find is that what makes it in game is representative of the people that are making the game. Now, listen, I know fantasy and all this shit. Totally get it. Totally understand it. You know what I mean? But the variations that you'll see when it comes to the green fucking goblin skin and the fucking orc, you know, shoulder braces or whatever the fuck, goes into what they know to be the kind of the traditional things when it comes to fantasy and that kind of thing. It's like, oh, I got my orcs and I got my dwarves and my elves are fucking pale ass white skin with long eyebrows and long ears. So I mean, like a lot, you'll see like a lot of the stuff go in that direction, right? But there's just not a whole lot of fuck it. There's just not a whole lot of diversity when it comes to just that medium that will kind of proliferate into other things, right? Like for instance, I saw the other day, maybe you guys might know about this. I can't remember where I saw it, and I tell you the truth, I don't even remember the fucking name. But there's some guy out there that's making this animated show. It's like an animated show, and it's about like pharaohs and stuff like that. And it's like kind of like Avatar with like
I know what you're talking about.
You know, what is it called? Do you have any idea what it is? Man, I saw that and I just thought, holy shit, man, that looked so fucking cool. Yeah. And they've got like the fucking the
Black Sands.
Black Sands.
Okay.
And I just thought, man, that looks so cool. That is a really cool, you know, thing that they're doing. And the whole premise behind it and the lore and everything that goes behind it, that's just really intriguing stuff, right? If you had more shit that was like that, like if you had stuff like that, but like that was on level with like a Lord of the Rings thing, that would proliferate more into kind of medium in general, and you would see all kind of more things like books and seeing more of that stuff get into games and just entertainment, period. But the fact of the matter is that some dude makes a movie or film about this genre and is basically going on this path that's like a different path than most other people. I mean, the fact that that's like so unique and oh my God, I was able to find it and I was able to think, oh, this is awesome. But how well is it doing? Are they doing, you know, are they kind of, you know, progressing and doing better and better? Are they getting funding? Are people looking at this from the outside and going, yeah, this is something we want to bring to market? Who knows? I don't know. I'm not involved with that company. But the point is that if you saw more of that, you would see it more everywhere else, basically.
Right.
What needs to happen for that to happen? I don't know.
It comes down to like a lot of. I don't have the blueprint to making it all happen, but I know just from a basics perspective of like it has to be a lot of different things happening. It has to be creators from all over, not just Black creators, but like creators from all over, just like little nudges here and there, just like bam, little nudge here and there. Like we've seen more games as of the last 2 years that actually have been doing that. The Outer Worlds being one of them, where I was surprised going into the character creator, even though it was limited, they still had like options that were specifically catered towards, you know, Black hair that were like well done. And that's to your point earlier about like doing it well versus just doing it, you know?
But it's mostly, you know what I mean? That's it's, you know, from the modelers working on it to the people in positions to be able to make it. There's just, you know what I mean? You know, if you had more representation as far as like, and that's, you know, to tell you the truth, and listen, you know, and again, people can get mad about this shit, but it's just facts. If capitalism in general does not play sides. Okay. And this is gonna sound bad, but it is the fucking truth, and it is a fucking fact. Okay. You either have one or two things. You either coming in because you love what you're in love, or you're coming in because you just want you're in for the fame or the money or whatever. Right. Some superficial shit. Right. If any culture wants to be more any culture, any race, any gender, if they want more representation, you hear this shit all the time, and it sounds so fucking cliche, but it's the fucking truth. Start with yourself. You know what I mean? If you want more representation, if you want to make a change, start with yourself, and then you progress and promote, like what this Black Sands dude is doing, right? He's taking it upon himself to really be able to, you know, to bring this product to market, and I hope they see all the success in the world. You know what I mean? And hopefully, you know, the community will come together. Hopefully he's kind of developed the community, you know, to kind of help support getting him to where they need to be. But, you know, we live in a day and age where we're very fortunate to be able to find people that are like-minded, enjoy the same things. And if you are good enough to be able to work it, you can help get together a group, enough of a group of people to help support you, that feel or like or want to see the same things. You know what I mean? Those avenues are out there. So as long as somebody's kind of taking advantage of those avenues, and they're kind of, you know, sticking to, you know, their core beliefs and their core likes, and staying away from their dislikes and their disbeliefs, hey, the tools are out there to succeed. At the end of the day, the successes and the failures are really going to be separated by who's willing to do the work. Right. And I know that's fucking crass, but it is the fucking truth. It just, you know, and that's why you got to do what you have to do what you love. Yeah. You know, you have to be able to do what you love, because it's going to get rough, but at the end of the day, you love it. So you're just going to fucking grind harder than anybody else. You just got to grind. You got to be out there on the street with your trunk open, selling the tapes. Yeah. You got to sell them on the street.
And I can attest to that as a creator myself. I have my own comic book that's still in production right now, and I have to keep grinding on that. But it is very much centered on kind of uplifting the subgenre of kind of like Afrocentric, but in a way it's like, it's not necessarily like, oh, we're Afrocentric comic book. It's like the main character is a Black character, and there's a lot of variety in the types of characters you see throughout the entire series. So it's like, you know, you have to be the change that you want to see. So that is, again, another reason why I am bringing, you know, that issue to the table, or rather the request, the recommendation to the table, is to be the change you want to see. You also have to make noise sometimes and say, like, this is what we want.
Well, you're a part of the Maiden Nation, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a part of the Discord.
Yeah, there you go. Take your,
same.
Take your feedback. We'll definitely appreciate the feedback and the suggestion, my brother.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And let me just see if there are any more questions that I had that were listed here. In case, of course, if you have more questions, feel free to ask them.
Yeah. I got nothing now.
Okay. My last question for you is art style. How did you decide on your art style, in which, you know, you could have easily gone full like anime cell shaded style with this, the promotional art. That's kind of like the style that you have, but a lot of the promotional art looks really dope too. So you could have gone that direction of making it look more like that, versus, kind of a blend between realism and anime style. So what was the decision making process like for that?
To tell you the truth, I wish I could give you like some fancy or cool or funny or witty story about that. But to tell you the truth, that just never really was up for discussion. It really wasn't. Like I could tell you, like if whatever the collective number of hours and days and weeks and months and fucking years you spent on this game, we quite and listen, I know you could say, oh, he's exaggerating. No, like I'm dead serious. We quite literally never spent a single second, not 1 second, discussing should this be like a cell shaded game or whatever. It just like literally we just never really. It was just like, this is the game that we're making. I mean, it was never a discussion about whether or not the art style should be such. As a matter of fact, what's really funny is that we always knew what we were going to be, the direction we were going. It's almost as if no other art style existed. It's kind of like how that was. So much so that you may not be able to find it now, but like if you looked at our really early art, it's almost like we didn't have, even though we did, we so did not acknowledge it. It's as if we didn't know other art styles existed. And so much so that it wasn't until the point that we had the first artwork debut for the game for somebody to say, your fucking artwork does not match your game's art style. Fuck is he talking about? Oh, and now I understand what he's talking about, right? Yeah. So the first set of artwork that we released for the game was a very anime styled artwork, which was very true. It just didn't look anything like the characters that we had in the game. And that was the only time that art style was really even made like a subject or made aware to us. And then that conversation had nothing to do with changing the art style of the game. It had to do with changing the art style of the art. So I mean, it's the direction, it's the path and the direction that we've always been on, and there was never really a discussion about it. I know, I mean, I have in hindsight have thought to myself, my God, like so much of this would be so much easier had we picked another art style.
Well, yeah, of course.
So many things that literally would have been so much easier had we picked a non-realistic art style. But I wouldn't, even if I could go back, I wouldn't make a different decision. I'm so beyond ecstatic with where we are. That even though that road was so much tougher, I mean, we're on the other side. So what's the point?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. This has been a great interview. I don't know if you want to join us for any rest of the stuff that we talk about for the show, but I did want to take a moment to, like, first of all, appreciate and then thank you for giving us your time. For those of y'all who were wondering, like, what happened to Kevin, his internet cut out, and he was like, I'm going to make dinner. I'm not dealing with this internet situation right now. So he was also excited to be on the show as well to talk with you and learn more about the game. But
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed the interview. Fun fact, this is, in all of our years of development, the only interview like I maybe have done like a text interview or two, but this is the only like actual interview I've done in all of the time we've done development.
Wow.
So
all right.
Yeah, I had fun. This was fun. I enjoyed myself, so I appreciate you having me. I can't stick around because we got this build on Saturday and I got to get to work. So
we don't want to keep you from it.
Well, the fans keep asking, when is it going to be ready? So
yeah. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yep.
Say soon in the chat and watch them motherfuckers go off.
Right. Don't say it.
Yeah. So a little context. I keep mentioning Red. She's probably going to be reaching out to you for follow-up interviews as well, because she has her hand in the gaming media very deep, and she has a lot of resources. She knows a lot of people, and she's an amazing human being. And she's down for this game too. Like she's like, when can I get this game right now? Like,
Well, that'd be awesome. We appreciate that.
yeah. It is surprising to me that not as many outlets reached out to kind of like let that voice be heard and learn more about the game. And again, like I caught wind to this game. I remember I emailed you like ages ago, like, hey, what's going on with this game? Like, when are you gonna have like playable builds ready? And it's just, you know, I don't see too many games, again, that have that layer of sexuality to them that actually like really put a lot of energy up front towards making sure the gameplay looks fun. So I just need to give y'all some space to like shine a little bit here.
All right. Well, thank you again. We appreciate you taking the time to interview us and giving us this time on your platform. Had a great time.
Yeah, man. We'll be in touch for sure.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of the call.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right. Bear with us for a second while I'm getting the screens all situated.
It's broken.
Everything is broken.
Everything's broke. But yes, that was a really cool interview. That was really well. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I enjoyed every. Dude, I even had to talk. I really barely even had to talk because like he just delved into more and more stuff into the game that just answered other questions that I didn't even need to ask.
Right.
So yeah, but everyone, if you don't know what that game was called, it's called League of Maidens. Be sure to check it out, join their Discord, and keep your eye on it. And you can wish list it on Steam right now if you did not know. It's on Steam, so when it releases, it'll be there.
Absolutely. And I'm just actually moving our cameras around a little bit to get us situated to where we need to be to get back on screen. Here we go. All right. Welcome to the world of content creation where you have to do things like this on the fly all the time.
Live!
But yeah, we get some people in chat right now. I love the models we have in game. Me too. I want to get that game.
Dude,
yes.
I want my hands on the game right now, dude. Like I just want like a key to just fall from the heavens and just fall into my hands. Just there it is.
That'd be real nice. That'd be real nice.
Yeah.
And I remember putting it in the Discord a while ago, like saying like, yeah, this game looks to be itching a lot of the scratches that many of us have. And of course there are so many more things that they can add to the game, including, you know, male characters, including, you know, more ethnic hairstyles or hair textures as well. You know, I learned a little, you can actually talk about this more than I can, but I learned a little bit about 3D modeling in my times of studying, and like doing hair was already like a pretty big challenge as well. But maybe you have a little bit more insight on, from a technical standpoint, what that's been like.
I mean, say it again. Sorry, I was like looking at chat.
Yeah, it's all right. No, it's just interesting because like a lot of the problems that we have in games as of now in terms of representation and how important that is, like,
oh yeah,
not too many of them offer black hairstyles, and like a lot of us,
True.
many of us do know why, but we're still going to try to push to make that a thing. So I'm going to go into their Discord and like suggest it as well, and you know, I invite as many people as possible who are interested in that being a thing to do that as well.
Yeah. I mean, like, we have those creators right now when it comes to like The Sims, and you see how many people and resources when it comes to modding has come from just from black creators themselves.
Right.
Most of like the clothes, the hair, skin, black creators. Like when I first delved into Sims content creation and whatnot, this was, mind you, so people know who X Mira Mira is, one of the biggest black creators when it comes to The Sims. I actually followed Mira's website years before I even knew who she was.
Yeah.
Because I was delving into like Sims stuff, and I was just like, her website was called The Black Simmer. And funny enough, like probably like 2 years ago, to find out she was The Black Simmer, I was like, oh, I was on your website like
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whatnot. And it goes to show like how, even though it's been years and whatnot, there's still not enough of that representation.
Right.
Even though it's still popular, and that's where their community is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Even they, like what he said, like with a huge studio.
Yeah, it's wild. Like huge studio, they can't figure it out. But like, small indie devs, it's like, you know what? Put that in a suggestion. I wanna figure it out.
Yeah.
They said that they tried to get some people to do it before, and it just didn't look the way they wanted to do it. So
right,
that's at least a testament to that effort.
And one thing I like when it comes to Maiden Gaming is that they're looking into it. They do want to do it, but it's just like they said, how much, like 40,000 tries that were in there, and me as a game artist, ouch. Yeah, three developers, one community manager, and like I'm sure they contracted plenty of people to try to do work for them, and like they paid them to do it, and it still didn't, it's not up to their standards, and like you said, you still have to pay for that.
Yeah,
and it sucks.
Yeah,
and it's like, damn,
you're pushing for it all the time. Hikari. So that's the community manager, by the way. She's hanging out in the chat. But like I said, the one good looking model we had, if it was going to be a grinded engine to it. Oh yeah.
We don't want that. We want the game to work. And yeah. But yeah, it's gonna like, the one thing about game development, it takes time, and it'll happen. It definitely will happen. But yeah.
Right.
We'll wait.
Yeah, we have to be patient, and again, I have to be patient with my own work too, because being a creator is you know now.
Bro, you see what I've been trying to do? My goodness.
Yeah.
And it comes to I'm gonna give y'all a little feedback and whatnot. I graduated from school about in 2016, and 2016, 2017, if you credits and whatnot. But once I got out of college, I'm thinking, I can go straight into a big AAA company and stuff like that and get a job. Nope.
The grind begins now.
Dude, the thing about it is just like, you only learn one aspect of game development, or like making a game in a whole, in school. You pay for either the game art or you pay for the game development. And there's like, for some other things, there's like game design, But I went to school for game art / design, and then I'm like, okay, I think I'm cool enough to make a game. No, the hell I'm not. So like, currently I'm like learning the development side and a little bit of other art stuff that I haven't learned in school, because there's big games I want to make. There's this things I want to do. I love games, and without it, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And there's so much resources out there, but there's so much things that are like hidden behind a huge paywall.
Yeah,
that
of course,
a person who's just who's like probably like coming from like a person who just came out of school. They don't have like a career yet. They don't have a lot of money. They have like a part-time job. What are you gonna do?
Right.
So, but it's also like awesome to people who know this kind of situation and who put out this free content for people, or willing to help people. Just like, hey guys, this is what I learned.
Exactly.
And what I'm doing. Here's a little course for you for free. But
and there's a lot of resources out there for that. Yeah.
There's many resources, but the only thing about it, it's super hard to find. Super hard to find. And
I'm glad the stuff that I shared with you was helpful then.
Yes, it's helpful. Like one person who I always go back to when it comes to Blender is Andrew Price, aka Blender Guru. And his tutorials are the greatest things when it comes to learning the ins and out of Blender. So if you guys ever want to get into 3D art, definitely look into Andrew Price, Blender Guru on YouTube. His course is free, and you learn so many different things when it comes to 3D. So definitely check it out. But it's so much. It's out there. You literally just have to find it. And like Patrick said, you have to have the love for it.
Right. If you
don't have the love for it, you're gonna get burned out fast. Yeah. You're gonna get burned out fast. And that comes to a lot of people when it comes to content creation, even like with Twitch.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just for folks who don't know this side of things, like the reason I still stream on Twitch has nothing to do with how much money I'm making on it or how much potential money I could make on it. It's because it's a way for me to connect with fans of gaming, with creators of gaming, with creators of content like Kesa here, And it's a way for me to be more deeply invested in this passion that I love, which is gaming. It's a way for me to connect with it in a different way than I would be if I was just kind of participating in a more passive way, if that makes sense.
True.
And you know, I'm thankful all the time that I get the opportunity to do what I do, and I can have these interviews with developers who will come on and give us like the deep down information about what's going on. But at the same time, like, I'm not going to sit here and say there aren't issues with content creation. Like, I remember a time when I was getting like 70 to 80 people watching my streams all the time. And that doesn't really happen anymore for whatever reason, you know, whether it's because people have found interest somewhere else or whether it's because the market has gone a different way. Saturation. It could be, it could be what people are interested in playing. Like, League of Legends was popular for a while, and I just had no intention of playing that game, like none at all. So like, there's all these different layers that kind of make up, even the complications of content creation, you know?
Yeah. So many factors.
Yeah.
And it's changing every day. Like tech, when he talked about it, the factors are always changing. Especially like you said, with oversaturation, they Twitch, Streamlabs, and so many other services that are out there make it so easy to stream that anybody can do it.
Right.
And it's the YouTube effect.
Yeah.
It's the YouTube effect happening all over again.
Yeah.
Everyone can upload a video, and then when people see that someone's making money, everybody wants to do it.
Right. Exactly.
But it is what it is.
Right. The podcast ended up going on a lot longer than I thought it would, but in a good way. We had a lot of really insightful and also fun conversation there. Kesa, how are you feeling? Do you want to get through the rest of the podcast, or do you want to get through anything specific in the podcast?
I actually don't know what specific. You didn't send me the thing.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
I don't think you sent it to me. I don't remember seeing it.
Copy link.
Oh, I must have missed it.
I'm gonna send it to your Twitter. It should be in your Discord DMs, but I might have sent it where it was like you have to request permission or some dumb.
Oh, here it is. Found it. It was hidden.
Oh,
over here.
See, I did it right. I did.
My bad. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. But more or less, we have things regarding what we've been playing lately. If you want to, I guess, give people a quick synopsis of what you've been up to on your channel.
Yeah, I can do that. I mean, when it comes to my channel, I've been playing a lot of Persona 5 Royal. I've been playing Final Fantasy 7 Remake, and I'm playing a lot of Valorant.
Okay.
So
yeah,
those are the kind of games that I've been rotating on my channel for the past month and a half.
Yeah.
And my community has been enjoying what I've been playing, which is good, and they're always interested in, you know, the single player games I've been playing and even the multiplayer. But one thing is just like, I'm glad to see that the single player games are starting to, especially the JRPGs, are actually starting to, people are actually enjoying them.
A resurgence of sorts.
Yeah, because when I first started streaming, it was very hard to show off those kind of games because not a lot of people are interested in story games. Well,
right.
Like more the JRPG genre, I should say. And every time I would stream, because those are the games I love. That's what got me into gaming.
Right.
And I don't know, like when I first started streaming those, a lot of people were not interested. They were like, this is back then when I was playing Smite most of the day.
Oh yeah.
I would have. Oh yeah. Like I would say like, hey guys, I'm gonna play some Final Fantasy today. They were like, oh, I'll come back when you're playing Smite.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, you get known for playing one thing, and now the minute you change, it's like.
And this is why I don't stream one game anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is why I hate saying it, a variety streamer.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But yeah, it's because I'm a gamer. I mean, and sure, when I played Smite, I wanted to become a pro. Made it semi-pro, but never actually got to the total thing. But it is what it is. But yeah, those are the games I've been playing though.
Okay. And as for myself, many of y'all know I've been playing Streets of Rage as of recently, which has been a challenge. A good challenge though. It's been fun, but good lord, those blickies. Whew.
Yeah.
I was getting shot up in that corner. And I was like, "What is happening?"
I watched you play that. I was like, "Oh my god!"
It's
and
brutal.
Then I found out I was in Game Pass. I was like, "Oh no, I have it."
yeah. So we'll have to play that at some point soon. Even today.
Yeah.
I've been playing Valorant with the crew, including you, including Right Guy and Dream Manifested and Hollywood, and Psychotic Elf and Creative Mind. Actually, today we are supposed to be playing 100% Orange Juice on stream, which is part of our St. Jude campaign. So for those of y'all who don't know or remember, we have a St. Jude campaign going on all throughout the month, where you can donate to basically activate challenges. And once we get to our certain milestones, we do community gaming sessions. So whether it's something that like everyone can join in on, like we're going to be doing Drawful for our next huge milestone. So literally we play Drawful. You can join in on our session by using your phone and be a part of the community engagement there as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be drinking during that, just letting you know now.
He's getting lit.
I will be lit. And I'm so proud of our team. Rare Sense, what is the number up to now? Hold on.
We're already past our goal, dude. Like,
our initial goal, we already crushed it.
Like, let me see. Rare Sense for the kids.
We raised $1,630 so far, and we're only a few days into May. And our campaign ends in May. So I have some pretty lofty goals for my own personal goal. My first milestone is $300. We're only $50 away from that right now. And then I'll play Tekken. Y'all know how much I'm not even trying to do that, but I will do it for the kids.
For the kids.
That's right.
And you.
And me. Maybe I'll like it. I don't know.
Who knows? We'll see.
But anyway, Case is part of our team, and he's also crushing it right now. So shout out to you.
So are you.
You know, I'm trying.
I'm doing what I can, man. I'm doing what I can.
Yeah.
Like, even so, everyone, be sure, like, even if you can't donate, like, seriously, definitely, like, let people know. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media you have. We really would appreciate it. And getting the word out about St. Jude is more what we're getting or really want. You know, it's more of, we're not doing this for like the perks that we get from it. Literally, I could care less. It's more of just giving the families and the kids a fighting chance of, you know, this cancer, you know. And yeah, and like I would say that cancer is crazy because yesterday was actually the anniversary of a friend who died 3 years ago from cancer. And he was part of the Smite community, an awesome pro, good heart. His name was Allied David. Real name is David, and so overall just a good human being. But he did leave a staple of just positivity and amazingness that he brought to the Smite community. And yeah, and we appreciate you, and we love you, Allied. But yeah, I had to say that.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. Yeah, I know a lot of people in our communities have had various experiences with cancer or life-threatening diseases, whether they've had it themselves or someone close to them has had it before. So it's a good reminder that, you know, it's people like you all watching, it's people like us as content creators who help this situation by spreading awareness about what St. Jude does, and spreading awareness about what people can do to help. So yeah, man. I guess the last really big thing I wanted to touch on, again, we can touch on all this stuff if you want to, but if you want to get to gaming, we can also.
we should probably get to gaming. It's about to be 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Over here.
Yeah. Let's talk about Last of Us 2 a little bit. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
So for those of y'all who don't know, The Last of Us 2, the narrative essentially was leaked by anonymous source. I'll actually bring up the Twinfinite link here, and it's a it's a shitty situation for a number of reasons. Primarily that they're giving away something really impactful about The Last of Us, which is the story, which is what you experience while you're playing through the game. And I don't know necessarily what they leaked specifically. I just know
we
that
probably don't want to get into it for most people.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that. But we are going to get into the situation, right? Like, there was a report that it was someone working at Naughty Dog at some point who was disgruntled, and they were upset at the developer and the publisher, and how, you know, it's no secret that Naughty Dog has a really bad issue with crunch. They overwork their workers quite a bit in that situation. But then there was news that the leaker was not from Naughty Dog, that they were from somewhere externally. Sounds good, Ren. And it was now, I don't want to say a conspiracy theory, but it's believed by many people now that this is a cover-up, that someone internally did leak it. And it's an interesting situation, because I'm sure if it was someone internally, their idea was to ruin the success of that game. But at the same time, like, I can't, like Patrick was just talking about it earlier, like, I can't even imagine working on a game for 5+ years and saying to myself, you know what, all the stuff that I worked for, like, I'm just gonna throw it down the toilet, just because I'm, like, justifiably upset about how I'm being treated at work. Like, at the end of the day, that's 5 years of work that you did that's now not going to matter as much. If what I'm hearing is correct.
Yeah. It just sounds weird. Like, why would a developer do that?
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, people do some crazy stuff.
Yes.
So, or they're not thinking clearly, which has happened, and they would do some things that are just not common sense, rare sense.
Rare sense, hashtag.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I could see it being a cover up, which in my way, that seems really weird. But but it just makes no sense to me. That's pretty much what I'm just getting to. It makes no sense for, like, a developer to do that.
Right.
Just to put all the hard work you did and just release it out into the world before the game comes out, just because there was some crunch. Not saying that like, that crunch time is, like, a good thing. Crunch time sucks. We don't want to see that happen, because that's hours of, like, from what I've seen from development, people not going home to their families.
Yeah.
They're literally at work 24 hours a day, either working, sleeping, eating, at the office. And it's so much time, and actually makes you feel older when you're doing all that stuff, because you're stressing out while you're making these games.
Right.
And yeah.
And the interesting thing I saw in another article, it might have been from Kotaku or Polygon or one of the other bigger publications. There was a story of a team of developers who were working overtime as usual. There was construction actually going on in the office that was only to take place at certain times of the night, actually. And they ended up being there at, like, 8. It was sometime between, like, 7 to 10 o'clock p.m. And, like, a beam ended up falling near one of the desks of the people working, and it was, like, heavy enough to have killed someone 100%. The contracting company ended up getting let go of in that scenario, and they ended up going with a new contracting company. But at the same time, like, the issue wasn't necessarily that someone almost died on the job working overtime. It was that the expectation all the time was to be working overtime in that first place. And none of that would have happened if people had a more, you know, realistic working environment.
Right.
And I can attest to personal experience of someone very near and dear to me who has been working 12-hour days consistently throughout the weeks. I won't go into too much detail there, but there's there's like a big problem with like work culture.
Right.
Really big problem.
Yeah.
And to like what Patrick was saying before, to your credit, like when you're passionate about it, especially passionate enough, like you will work those hours, but it shouldn't be an expectation that you do
Yes.
that. It should be a individual choice to do that. Which is, I think, another big moment of contention with the how that.
And I think it's great that they also don't say soon.
Yeah.
because not saying soon, like, devoids crunch.
Right.
Like, it stops it from happening. So they get to work as passionate as they want. And I know they probably have deadlines to do certain things, to get some fixes out. But yeah,
right.
crunch time is something that even when I have my own studio, it's something I want to avoid.
Right.
Because I want my team to be healthy and give their 100%. And not be tired and only give 40.
Right. You do your best work when you're at your best, so
yes,
definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Man, Kesa, it has obviously been an absolute pleasure doing this podcast with you.
Always.
It was a pleasure having both Kev, KK Asaurus, as well as Patrick from League of Maidens on as well. I really enjoyed our conversation. There's so much to delve into, and I know he had way more he wanted to say as well, and I had more I wanted to ask. But I also figured there might be, once we, we'll work something there. We'll figure something out there, because I think, especially once we get like another major update for it, it'll be a good time to do a follow up.
Maybe even doing like a follow up when they're close to open alpha.
Right. That'd be dope. And again, like it's in closed alpha right now, which means it's pretty in comparison to like a release launch, it's pretty early on in development. I'm sure they've been working on it for a number of years, obviously, but it's just dope to see that like indie development studios, no matter how large or small, are still able to surprise us in ways that we may not have thought, which is dope. So much thanks to that team. Hikari, thank you so much for being in the chat as well as answering questions in chat as well. Community manager for League of Maidens, much love to you as well. For those of y'all listening to the podcast on iTunes or Anchor or Spotify or whatever it is that you'll be listening in on once this goes up, YouTube as well. Thank you for listening to our conversation. We have many more podcasts coming up very soon. Today we are going to do some more streaming as well. We're probably going to take a quick break and get a snack, get some food, do some gaming with the crew.
Gotta get that chicken katsu I made earlier today.
Ooh,
to eat that.
Okay then.
Boy out here chefing.
I love it. I love it. Where can people go to get more pro_quesadilla?
Well, you guys could always find me on Twitch, pro_KESADIA. On Twitch, I play a lot of games. I get my hand in everything. I play Valorant. I play Rainbow Six Siege when I have the time. Call of Duty, Smash, Persona, Final Fantasy. If you're looking to that kind of content, definitely come check out. We play a lot of those kind of games. Very knowledgeable when it comes to video games, and we do a lot of commentary and insight and anything nerddom. So you definitely want to come check that out. And even on Twitter, the same handle.
Absolutely. And for myself, you can find me at Black Oni on pretty much everything. Streamerlinks.com/Black Oni will give you links to all of my good stuff, except for YouTube. Some guy took that, and we're not going to get into that right now. But what we are going to get into later today, orange, 100% orange juice.
100% orange juice.
And I don't know, maybe something else too. Maybe Valorant.
Warframe?
Maybe Warframe. Yeah.
We'll see. Cool.
All right. Thank you all so much. It has been my absolute pleasure to stream for you our podcast. I'm so glad that we did end up doing this. I just realized that y'all couldn't hear anything I just said a second ago, right? I'm assuming you couldn't hear that a second ago. thank you all so much for being here. We're gonna take a break, and then all that good stuff. Bye.